All right. Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon for our folks overseas. Welcome, everybody. So again, I've told you guys this, but like this is what we do. This is an actual play. Realistically, I am just here to run a game for these fine folks. We're streaming it, we're recording it, we're putting it out there to YouTube, but this is not about production quality or anything like that. We have a brief, somewhat of an attempt at a stream overlay, but for really, this is just about us playing the game and sharing it with you all. So we're not doing this for dramatic or cinematic effects. I mean, other than that which the game produces. In fact, it's such an actual play. We're gonna start off with some housekeeping items and like getting people,
Shopping episode.
yeah, shopping episode, and again, my you know the goal of these streams or whatever is to or the goal of these games is to play for about 3 hours, so give or take. So, and we'll go from there. All right. So first things first, before we begin, are there any are there any like major updates or changes that people want to make? So the one thing I'm going to do, this should populate on your character sheets. And I kind of thought about this that I was going to do this, but like I was thinking about this originally, but then I was like, oh yeah, I got reminded of it. So there's an optional rule in the core game. The base TN starts at 20, which just feels good. It's a nice round number, 20, and that means that you take 20, you subtract your character's attribute, and that's the DC or the TN in this game, the test number that you have to hit. However, there is the idea of that is that it starts kind of high. Your neophyte player heroes, and then you kind of earn into it over a long game. As far as I could tell, the One Ring is a game that's designed to cook, for a while. It could easily take probably 20, 30 sessions to really start getting into, the meat of the core of the middle game. We're obviously not going to be getting that. We're going to be doing 12 sessions, but we're not going to be doing 30. So to that end, there's an advice which says that if you're playing a one-shot or even a shorter campaign, to change the base TN value. So since I would rather see you guys succeed a little bit more than not, I'm going to change it to 18. So that it does require a reload of the application. So hopefully that doesn't screw anybody up. But now the only reason I made sure about that is because some of you, I don't know if anybody had to like manually change any of their TNs because they took
I took prowess.
prowess.
Yeah, but I think since you're doing that, I'm going to drop that and get nimbleness instead.
Oh, okay. Oh, you gave us a buff? Cool. I'll tell.
Yep, yep.
I don't need that anymore.
Allow me to min-max. Thank you.
So, what is this? Oh, I saw
It
something.
seemed to work.
All right, cool.
Shoot. Yep. I need India.
All right.
Yeah, looks good.
All right, cool. So, for let's just, if we take a look at, Alfred, you can see that with his 7 wits, Alfred's now sitting at a rockin' TN of 11 to make their wits checks. So, Alfred done learn stuff well. Okay, so that's the first thing. Okay, so the second thing is over the last 2 weeks, these folks have been doing some backstory generation, some backstory cards. We've been doing that in our Discord, where basically there's random prompts that come up that sort of build stuff. And maybe we could share that with YouTube or something like that at some point. But if people are actually interested in it, but as a result of that, that may have changed some of your decisions about certain skills or maybe about certain traits of your character, distinctive features, and of course, your fellowship focus. Now, that being said, there were 2 things that popped out to me as particularly relevant. So, and when we can kind of discuss this, but one is we kind of already discussed this, but Soulpack, your Adrenial, your elf, she recently, at least in elf term, it's like, it could have been like, oh, it was 20 years ago, just the other day. She recently lost her arm or part of her arm battling. So we had discussed potentially giving you a flaw because of that. And as a result of, kind of balancing that out, I'm trying to think of a way that maybe I could, that we could, give you something back in return for that. And so one thing I was thinking of is just because your character is obviously like a seasoned warrior, might be to give you like another dot in a combat proficiency.
Oh, baby.
It'd be certainly strong.
Yeah.
And then so currently what we have, or what the cost of me having this flavor is that I'm one less hand, which is probably a shield in most circumstances. So
Right.
it is a pretty substantial buff just in me opting to not use a slot. Or I mean like cost is what I mean.
Yep.
I was going to do that for free.
Right. Oh, I
So,
understand.
If you if you're gonna sell me on something I already bought, I'll take it. You know?
Okay, good. Yeah, no, yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I definitely want it. It's like, I almost see it as like, you're this kind of, you're maybe more seasoned of a warrior than you would let on. Now, the thing about a flaw is that if I feel like there's a situation where your flaw would come up, I can make your roll ill-favored. So ill-favored is disadvantage, basically. You'll roll 2d12 and take low. And so, if we're describing a situation where, now, obviously, you've adapted to some extent, but like if it's clearly a situation where having an extra hand would have made the difference, then we'll do that. So the second actually revolves around Alfred. So through our backs, now Alfred's a human, to be clear, and is quite old, but we also apparently have learned he is dying of a cursed wasting disease.
My bad.
Sounds about right.
I love impeding myself and my allies.
Let's see this. Are you guys popping this stuff up, or is that me popping?
Sorry, that was me messing around with stuff. I was like, "Ooh, what does this button do?"
Oh, okay. It's like a report.
Yeah, health report.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And we've got a moral health report as
Mine
well.
is bad.
All right. You know what? That actually is pretty cool. Oh yes.
You have to remember that Gull the cat is playing himself, the Hobbit, that hooks
Right.
at everything.
And I just see things popping up, and I'm like, what is going on? So for Jackal, specifically for Alfred, I was thinking we could add that as a flaw as well. And then also kind of try to give you some sort of recompense as well. I don't necessarily know that additional ranks in combat makes much sense, but if there's like a couple of ranks of maybe some skills or something that you want to pick up or something like that. Again, it's entirely up to you. It's more of a flavor thing than anything, but. Yeah, I don't know if let's see what we have here in characteristics.
Maybe I'll add a dot to healing from 0 to 1.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you can add more than that. I mean, I would say that's probably the equivalent of like four extra skill points or something like that.
Yeah.
Normally, you only get a flaw by going completely to shadow and then giving into the shadow. So it is like it is definitely a thing,
All right. I have added a couple of points into healing, so I have 2 dots, and then I just used a random extra dot for battle since I was an old warrior.
Yeah, an old
Very
warrior. Very cool. Cool. All right.
I've made some slight adjustments to my character since we last met, kind of.
Yep.
For the cards. I switched from my initial strategy of maxing combat proficiency in spear and then like getting the free proficiency with dagger.
Yep.
To just using sword and spear instead, like kind of giving up on that dagger dream. I had the idea of having Idraniel having spent like time in the court of Thranduil, and like I know it's just the movie adaptation, but he's such a badass with the 2 swords. I'm like, I want to, like, Idraniel will have come from that, which kind of like makes the cost of her being down a hand higher. Is that like she's spent 100 years perfecting this dual wielding style that she like now she's like kind of trying to readapt and find her new way.
All right.
Cool.
All right. So Adriano, I have drawn the one-handed flaw onto your character sheet.
Nice.
And nope, not Isengard. Alfred. There we go. Alfred, I have drawn the sickened flaw onto yours. So again, it's just a situation. Yes, exactly. Just a situation where if I feel like I want to particularly screw with you, I can, give you, and I don't even have to give you any sort of fate point to do it. Which is good. Now, additionally, as I was kind of discussing this last night, so you all, as a fellowship, have actually 8 max fellowship. So just as a reminder, hope is obviously this is kind of a cool. You could argue I'm like, oh, it's so fascinating, thrilling, but some people might say it's brutally punishing because it's like, hey, your meta currency mechanic is also kind of a hit point, right? Like, because if you spend your hope, you could become miserable. All right. Now, one of the things I like about this game is that becoming miserable isn't the end of the world because it just makes the Eye of Sauron symbol bad, right? The Eye of Sauron symbol is always bad because it's a 0, but it turns it on, right? And now when you get the Eye of Sauron symbol, it's an auto fail regardless of what your total is, and it's like a critical fumble or whatever you want to call it. Not like in the lame D&D, you slip on a banana peel, you're hit by a bunch of air damage, Fabulous Ultimate Way, but like in a like the shadow, gains power over you. The ill fortunes, the misdeeds, right? Because the rise of Sauron, a little bit Tolkien metaphysical here, right? It's not just about Sauron itself as an evil force. It's this idea that there's this like metaphysical evil that's present, right? There is no king. Like the people are, desolate and without hope, and so that like infiltrates the very fabric, of Middle Earth. So sometimes the attention of the shadow can just have nothing to do with, say, Sauron or orcs. It could do something with like, the rains turned into a flood. The livestock all got sick. My favorite girl dumped me. That kind of thing. It's just like this. It's this idea of just like misfortunes and woes, in the Third Age. So anyways, so hope is an important resource. Now, you can get it back during fellowship phases, obviously, when you have time to rest and recover. This game is very big into taking some PTO. But one of the main ways that you're going to get back your hope is through your fellowship, right? So that's the way you sustain yourself, is with those bonds of fellowship while you're adventuring. Now, you guys have 8 fellowship points, so you could spend fellowship points in one of 2 ways. You could spend it to activate your patron ability, which, as Gandalf, allows you to spend a fellowship point to make a valor roll favored. All right, so basically, if you're called upon to face dread and despair, you can spend a fellowship point out of the communal pool, and that will allow you to, be brave at heart, because Gandalf has your back. You can also, in a moment of rest or quiet or downtime, if you have a moment of fellowship with a fellow player hero, you as a group communally can decide to spend a fellowship point and restore a point of hope to them for that. So this is one of those like mechanized role play things, but basically what it comes down to is, you have to explain what you're doing. To do it, you have to, in order to do it, you have to do it. So if it's, not in the middle of a combat or something like that, but if we're in a rest scene or, we're just kind of journeying and there's time, it doesn't have to be a, lengthy Shakespearean speech, but just simply bring up or highlight, how you as an individual or a group maybe are in strengthening those bonds of fellowship with a particular character, and then you can spend fellowship to restore a point of hope for them. My only caveat to that would be, outside of something like truly stirring, I would try to limit that to like 1 hope at a time. So there could be a really great and dramatic moment, like where someone's fellowship focus, comes up to them and says like, do not despair, we need you, more now than ever. That'd be that's a cool moment. Yeah, fuck yes. Spend 2, get 2. So anyways, that goes away. At the end of the session, that restores to full, or it used to. So in my game, you guys will get 3 for free because you get 2 for Gandalf, 1 for having a man of Bree in your party, who apparently is just such a party animal. He just brings the fellowship. The other 5 are going to be decided by vote. Your guys' vote, my vote, and the community/Discord's vote. So they are going to watch this episode, and I am going to, sort of review the episode, and you're going to review your own performance, and you're basically going to say, do we think we demonstrated bonds of fellowship and, togetherness? And if so, we deserve our points. And then depending on how the audience, myself, and you guys vote, that'll determine how much of that 5 you get back. So, if it's a real sad, depressing episode where, someone breaks and has a moment of madness and betrays the fellowship and there's a combat and somebody's like missing every attack and grows into despair and the fellowship seems wavering on the company seems on the edge of breaking, they might be like, yeah, it's not a great time for the fellowship. So that's what we're going to do that as well. All right.
I have a question about that, because my cultural blessing is that I roll Valor with favored already. I guess I can't roll.
You cannot roll double
favored.
You cannot roll double favored. The only thing you can
screw Gandalf. Let's get someone else.
Gandalf is offering nothing that you just don't already have. You're just like,
your natural heritage allows you to use Gandalf's ability for free, which is pretty cool.
Right, if you want to look at it from a slightly different perspective, right? Yeah. Which is let's see here. You should have thought of that when you took it. No, I'm just kidding.
I should.
No, this is how you make your this is how you make your convincing. You're like, well, look, all that stuff that you guys were spending on virtue tests or on valor tests, you should just give to me as back as hope.
Yeah. How do we invoke our traits again?
Yeah. So 1 second, I'm just looking for Gandalf. So the way that a trait works is when you go to make a skill test, a combat test, any test really, you can, of course, spend a point of hope, and that will allow you to add a d6 to your dice pool before you roll it. And again, to note, obviously that will help you beat the test by giving you a total average higher number. But even if you have a really good score, it might still be beneficial to you because you might want to get have a greater chance for 6s. So something to note. But if you highlight one of your traits, one of your distinctive features, rather, you can make that roll inspired. And when you do that, if you're inspired, if you spend that point of hope, you get 2 d6s added instead of 1. Now, normally, that kind of rule, I would be very don't be a weasel. And to be clear, don't be a weasel. But because it's limited by a meta currency, and because that meta currency is also kind of a hit point resource, I'm not gonna push you too much on that. You're spending the hope anyways, so you're going down. So it really just, as long as you make some kind of effort to describe how or why, Otar being tall helps. Now, if Otar being tall helps him with an awe roll, sure. If it helps him with a scan roll, because he's like, oh, I can see over the cloud. Would it help him heal? If you can make it make sense, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, he's like, well, I'm patching up a giraffe. Oh, okay. Well, then the Mumikul was injured in the battle, and we need to help him out. But yeah, so basically, if you tag one of those, you get 2 hope for 1. Another thing I've noticed in my lengthy experience with the One Ring, but really, I mean, I tried to watch a couple actual plays, and it was tough. But
your favorite thing to do?
Yeah, it's just so bad. Well, here's the thing:
actual plays are the worst.
They are
actual plays.
Yeah,
Being in them,
I can't believe
them.
anybody would actually watch them now. That's like the worst thing in the.
Correct. It's actually, when you think about it, it's kind of pathetic. So
we love you, chat. We love you.
But like, the thing about it, okay, well, just tangent. Number one, usually the audio quality is potato. And by the way, I'm not arguing that this audio quality isn't potato a little bit here, because we've just got people just hanging out on even I'm just on my headset. We're just chilling. We're just gaming. This is totally fine for gaming purposes. But the second reason is because most people are trying to be Dimension 20, or Critical Role. They're trying to be like, no, never. I won't let it happen. Not this time. What? It's like, oh, come on. Nobody plays like that. Anyways. One thing I've noticed is, and I noticed this in my own party when I ran them, people are very hesitant to spend hope. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be somewhat cautious of it, but sometimes, between, like, example, if you're inspired on a roll and you spend a hope, and you get say, an ally who may be your fellowship focus to spend a hope, you're up 4d6. It's a tremendous amount of value. So, don't be afraid to spend it, because it can really shift the odds in your favor. So, like, I noticed there was a lot of things, like, not griping, but like a lot of people at the end of our, even just playing with Tim and Bob and his brother, they're like, man, I missed a lot, or I failed a lot. And it's like, okay, well, I still have all my hope, and we actually we used like 1 point out of our fellowship, so it's like, well, yeah, use your resources. It's there to be spent, to try to, it's not, don't think of it like a hero point where it's like this, like, kind of a gimme, like it's just like a little bit of like a plot armor fix. Like, it's actually part of the mechanic of the game, and it's designed, to help you, assist you in that particular endeavor.
Anyone who's played Dragon Bay with me will know that if there is a meta currency to be spent, I will spend.
Please do.
So, okay. Oh, you know what? You're not completely screwed, Otar. Gandalf's spend a fellowship to make any shadow test favored. So if it's a greed test or if it's a dread sorcery, you can also make it favored. So there you go. Now, granted, valor tests are by far and away the most common. All right, cool. Any other comment?
There was
questions?
Like the common one you used in Hearten, but the other two were wits, right? Like that's
yes. So your character sheet might be set up this way. No, like the actual character sheet is set up this way. The actual character sheet has valor underneath like your heart column, so that you know that it uses your heart TN, and then wisdom is underneath your wits, so that you know that it uses your wits TN, and then all of your combat proficiencies are underneath your strength column, so you know that it uses your strength TN. So that's basically how it works. Obviously there's 6 skills per stat, and then there's all the combat stuff goes under strength, valor goes under heart, and wisdom goes under wits. Just for edification, we're here to learn. Again, valor tests are used to resist the gain of the shadow from dread, which is the most common way to gain shadow. Dread will occur when you see orc craft and other sad but depressing things. It will potentially gain you shadow. You make that valor test to try to reduce how much shadow you gain. Greed is mostly comes up when you find treasure. And just from a meta mechanic perspective, when you find a treasure hoard, there is a chance for special marvelous artifacts and wondrous items and even ancient blades and armor. The way the mechanic works is you roll a number of d12s, depending on the impressiveness and the size and the ancient quality of the hoard. You roll a bunch of d12s. If you roll an Eye of Sauron or a Gandalf rune on a d12, it will generate a magic item. So there's a 1 in 6 chance. However, if that magic item is generated via an Eye of Sauron, it will generate greed in the party. And so it could potentially cause shadow.
I'm sure that's not going to be a problem for me at all.
Yeah, so, well, I just had this mental image, right, of like the Fellowship, or not Fellowship, I guess, actually, Thorin's company, finding like not one, not two, but three, right, elven blades in one treasure hoard, and they all came up on an Eye of Sauron, and like the GM's like, okay, everybody gained 12 shadow. And it's like, what? Yeah, everyone gained, that's enough to kill somebody over. So, I mean, basically this game is saying that like, magic is so rare and so powerful, but also there's this idea, again, of the metaphysics of shadow, right? That these items, having lain in dark places for so long, right, surrounded by evil creatures and fell deeds, right, they sort of embody it. So, and that's completely different, by the way, than a cursed item. Okay, there are cursed items too, but like this is just straight up. It's a normal longsword, but it's a blade of Gondolin, forged during the Goblin Wars during the First Age, and you're like, I don't even fucking use swords, and I want it. So that uses your wisdom against your wits. And then the last one is anytime you are influenced by sorcery, right? A way to think of it would be like, I don't know if there's a really good example of it, but basically if like the Black Breath of the Nazgul is what I'm thinking of, but like they don't really show that in the movie. But like if you experience or see the effect of dark magic, that just being affected by that can addle you and cause you to have to maintain your effect. So anyways, that's like the most like saving throwy one of them all. But
I love the idea of the Fellowship just beat the Moria raid, and then just before Gimli loots the axe of Durin, his little chat log says Legolas rolled a 99, and then he gets it,
and he's like, "What?" He's like,
"Everything's
"All right,
a hunter weapon."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm attacking." I'm like, "Wait, are you having a bout of? Wait, no, your shadow's not even high. Are you having a bout of madness?" He's like, "No." And again, I will pre-warn you. The other way to gain shadow is misdeeds. Now, to be clear, a misdeed, right? The ends do not justify the means, and sometimes you may not even be aware of the ends. Okay, but which is to say, you may commit a misdeed unknowingly. And if you do that, you gain shadow, and there's no test because you kind of opted into it, right? So, and by the way, it's a slippery slope. You're like, well, we'll just lie to him and we'll tell him, no, we don't have any idea where that dwarf is. Okay, it's a misdeed. It's like even a little bit of evil stains the heart. But it's okay. If you're not an elf, it's not a problem. All right.
This is like just on the topic of Lord of the Rings, but it was in preparation for this game. I've been listening to like YouTube lore monologues.
Yeah.
And I learned this where Sauron learned of Saruman's betrayal by capturing Grima and interrogating, or the Witch King did specifically. And
yeah, well, because
I was just wondering where it's like, did Grima betraying Saruman make Sauron not reinforce him at Helm's Deep, and then like the whole world was saved by Grima's like cravenness,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's basically that you just described Gollum, right?
That's what
where Frodo falls to the ring. The only reason they win is because Gollum, is there to attack Frodo, get the ring from him, and fall into Mount Doom. So it's like if Gollum wasn't there, it wouldn't even have got it. That's this idea of this small part to play. But yeah, that's right. Saruman basically says, "Yeah, no, I have no idea where they are." And then like the Nazgul are coming through, and Grima's like, "Oh no, they went this way." And then he's like, "Oh shit, Saruman's not our ally." That's tough. That's tough. All right. So, do you guys have some art, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Do you want to post it in the Discord, your most recent version, so that I can get this kind of tokened up? Also, while we're hanging out, I guess, and you guys are doing that, I guess I will look at chat and see what chat's saying.
how
I
handsome we
have
are.
the one you use for the.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, whatever you have. Yeah.
I don't know where I have it. Let's see.
I know I made a slightly different version of yours. I think
Yeah,
with
sure.
the helmet, as I recall.
If you guys want mine to be in the same style, I'll need one of you guys to do it for me.
It's not like super important, but you know, it can be nice for.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to be cohesive. So if one of you wouldn't mind just doing Elf Lady Tolkien style in ChatGPT. I couldn't get it to replicate your like parchment sketch style. So.
Yeah, I mean, Cat is apparently the grandmaster of that, and puts me to
I
shame.
can knock it in for you if you like. I don't know where your image is.
I'd really appreciate it.
All right, so we've got Grom. And again, I told people, I said, like, listen, this is going to be literal, actual play. And if you've ever played on Foundry, you know that this is an important part of actual play.
Also, it wasn't answered in the cards of like my Nemesis thing. So I think the way I'd like to interpret that is that I don't know the exact name of the orc who led the party that I despise. So what I have come to is that I was taken prisoner by an orc warband, and I interfaced with their leader momentarily. He was just a massive orc with a war helmet that was painted red. That's all I know about him.
Got it.
And he was the one who chopped off one of my hands. And then I managed to escape, and now I have a vendetta.
I got it. So it wasn't even a question of you. It's not like you lost it, in battle. It was more of like a they took your hand type situation. Yeah. Oh, okay. Brutal.
That's orc work for you, baby.
That is true. That is orc work for you. That's the type of thing, for example, that might cause you a bit of dread in Games of Shadow. Yeah. Also, we didn't. Now, I mean, it's probably not going to come up in this first session, but so does there again, managing your shadow is important, and there is a option for what's called hardening your will. And why is that looking like that? Man, they really freaking updated the shit out of Tokenizer. They added like 55 things now. Why is this doing this? Why? And why is it transparent?
I'm going to get up for 1 second.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't know how to use Foundry anymore.
Do you have an idea of what your bird means, goblins? Like, what is the significance of that?
Well, ravens from Ravenhill are from the books. Isn't there one of the ravens telling Bard where Smaug have his weakness? I think.
I don't remember the Hobbit as well as the three.
Or is that wrong? There are at least some talking ravens at some point.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, you, as a cultural virtue, you even can take it so that you eventually can just straight up talk to birds. But yes, well, in the books, a thrush, Bilbo tells a thrush about the missing plate in Smaug's thing, and the thrush finds, or the bird finds, Bard and whispers in his ear, and Bard's like, "Oh shit, I can understand you." But yes, there is a place called Ravenhill. So
yeah, I have no idea, to be honest. I have an inkling that they want me to do something, and I'm not doing it at the moment. So.
Jesus.
Yeah, but it's. I will probably take that talk to birds if I can at some point.
All right. I don't know why. If anybody's watching it at home in chat, do you know why my my tokenizer looks like this and isn't working?
Actual play.
Yeah, actual play. I've never had this problem before. Oh, Jackie, we were getting some bad feedback from you there by doing that. Whatever you were doing. Whenever you were touching something, you were causing a ground loop. Don't touch that.
It was when you reach your hand, and I think you touched the mic stand or something.
There's a light I'm messing with over here.
Okay.
All right.
Just his aura, his natural aura.
Yeah.
That tokenizer does look weird, doesn't it?
Yeah. it's like hollow or something. And it doesn't seem to be working.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
I mean, yeah. What is? There's a checkbox. Is there a checkbox? Yeah, it's just the tokenizer. That's good.
The broad, just chuckling.
Yeah. Womp womp womp. Delete. No.
Well, on the topic of Lord of the Rings by
Yeah.
Works in Time, who are your guys' favorite characters?
Sam. I mean, it is basic, but Sam is the best in the entire. I've only read Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but Sam is best.
Do you think you would be as endeared to Sam if he had been played by a different actor who didn't do as well of a job as Sean Austin?
Yeah, because Sam's best in the books as well.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, Sam's a legend. I will be honest, this is heavily biased from the one scene, which is him walking up the tower to save Frodo, and I just love how it was described in the book. And they did an okay job presenting it in the films because they kind of toned down the magic stuff, but I loved it in the books. It's like he's just storming up absolutely horrifying orcs into leaping to their deaths. I'm like, yes, fuck yes, Sam. So I am heavily biased because of that one thing that I remember from my childhood.
Sam's very cool. I'll agree. I would say two of my favorite Sam scenes are Peter Jackson created, though. There's at least I think this is written by him, but it's I can't carry it for you, but I'll carry you when they're like in the mountain. And I like when Frodo tries to leave Sam. Like those two scenes are like so powerful for him, I think. Yeah, if his on-screen performance hadn't been as good, I don't think I would love the character nearly as much.
It's fair.
All right. I'm not really sure why this is so terrible, but I'm not going to worry about it. All right. Well, we'll do tokens another. This is why I just do everything in Photoshop, and I don't know anything about, how like all these stupid fucking modules work, because it's like it's built by a bunch of people for free, which is cool, but like the integration level is terrible. Also, I feel like as Foundry has gotten more and more modules, it's just gotten worse, or like more and more updates, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, because now there's just like so many things on a screen at once. Like I remember when Tokenizer had like 5 buttons, and now it's like trying to be Photoshop. It's like, oh, you can paint this and paint a mask and all this other stuff, and it's like, what the fuck? Anyways, like, oh, do you want to add line art, shadow style? It's like, I get it. I guess not everybody has GIMP or whatever, or Photoshop, but it's like, come on, man. And now it doesn't even seem to want to work. So, all right. Anyways, all right. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started, and at least try to get through a scene or two, or 3. All right. It is early spring in the year 2965 of the Third Age, and your company, as such as it is, has met at the Inn of the Prancing Pony. Proprietor Barnabas Butterbur with his little son Barlaman running around. As each of you, in your own turn, perhaps having separated for the Yule season, have regathered, as is your tradition, in Bree to sort of discuss what moves your company will be making. Now, through your various events and backgrounds, you have found yourself drawn together into a company, and perhaps you have several misadventures with each other, such as treacherous nights spent shuttered in the ruins of Fornost, or long talks or walks around the roads, or strange battles that you have fought in over the time. And of course, your company was forged over the last, in many ways, over the last 10 or more years, as each of you kind of discovered and found one another. But one thread that has tied you together is your group's patron, Gandalf the Grey. And while you each returned home, although for some of you that literally meant spending some time here in Bree, or perhaps you are actually from, Atchit or Stodle. Bree land is actually a collection of small towns, not just Bree, but Bree's the biggest one. You each received word late in the season, after Yule, to make with all haste, make for the sign of the Inn of the Prancing Pony, come as soon as you were fit to travel, as Gandalf the Grey would speak to you of something most pressing and most dire. And so it is that before most travelers have really started making their way along the roads, even though it is now the spring, the weather in Eriador can still be quite treacherous. Although the snows have stopped, chill rains and foul weather are still very common. And so you find yourselves huddled into a small table in the corner of the Inn of the Prancing Pony, when the door swings open, driving rain lashing outside, and coming in, dripping wet, off of his pointy hat and his long gray robes, comes a familiar sight to each of you. Gandalf the Grey. The Grey Pilgrim comes striding in, his large black boots leaving a muddy trail behind them, as he spies your group quickly and makes his way across the room to your chamber, or to your presence. Well, I'll be the company itself, together again, and to see all of you at once. This is truly an auspicious day. Greetings, gentlemen. I have arrived precisely on schedule. All right. Gandalf goes to sit down, and Barnabas Butterbur, the proprietor of the tavern, comes over and kind of sees your group, and he says, "All right, lads, what'll it be? Oh, Master Gandalf, I didn't see you come in. Oh, well, this is truly on the house, gentlemen, on the house. This is truly what a blessed occasion. Beer for everyone, then? Ale for everyone?
Make it 2.
All right, double. Gandalf says, a little red wine for me, thank you. Barnabas says, of course, Master Gandalf, of course. I have some lovely wine in from Gondor. That'll do, whatever you have, Barnabas. He sits back and goes, he's a good man, Barnabas, but a little excitable at times. Well, gentlemen, I won't take too long. There are important places to be, places to go, people to see. Always be looking, always keep your eyes open. This is the beginning of an auspicious season. He looks at Alfred kind of very pointedly. Alfred and I spent some considerable time this last winter season looking into the events going on in the wider realm, and I believe that there are some strange forces at work. However, an opportunity has come across my my way that I thought might just be perfect for you all, as I'd like to send you all on a little adventure. Very useful for me, and quite likely very profitable for you. Now, I have learned of a strange tale or rumor. They say that a group of trolls has come down out of the Troll Shaws, or perhaps even further north, from Rudauer or even Angmar themselves. They've dug in somewhere along the Weather Hills, far too close to the good people of Bree to be up to any good. They already struck several merchants traveling along the Great East Road. Why, Halder Ironfoot himself basically chewed me out, saying I needed to do something about it immediately. I told him a wizard is not to be spoken to in such a manner. Nonetheless, I was a little afraid of the dwarf. So, I worked with Jackal. I worked with Alfred and Jackal, and we began doing some research. And what we have learned is that the trolls may be hiding in the hidden valley of Morglind. Once a redoubt, a fortress, a bastion of ancient Arnorian treasures and lore. If this is the case, well, gentlemen, I think we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, 2 crabines with 1 stone. I believe these trolls are located in this valley. If they are, I would like for you to seek them out and deal with them as you see fit. Stone trolls are not too pleasant, servants of the shadow through and through, but potentially they could be reasoned with. But if worse comes to worse, I trust in your judgment. However, there is also likely to be some amount of treasure. Adventure and treasure, hand in hand. Gentlemen, we need to be preparing ourselves for what is coming, and dealing with a group of trolls and finding an Arnorian cache. Why, some years ago, I myself found a troll hole and found it to be quite useful. He kind of gestures down at his hip. Why, this blade, Glamdring, the foe hammer, I pulled from a very troll hole itself. Perhaps you'll have the same luck. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Trolls are messy business, and I'm not quite entirely sure where this valley is. It's still early spring. The journey will be treacherous. However, if we move now, I believe that we can deal with these trolls before they cause any problems for the people of Bree, the elves of Rivendell, or anyone else using the Great East Road, such as the dwarves of the Blue Mountains. And if we can get our hands on some of that treasure before darker purposes put it to foul deeds, so much the better. So, I have said my piece. Please, if you have questions, now is the time. Or talk amongst yourselves. Ah, thank you, Barnabas. He takes his red wine, and he begins sipping quietly.
Gandalf, you might find this surprising, but I've yet to encounter trolls in my long life. However, I've heard stories of them turning to stone in sunlight.
Yes, this is true. Yes, this is true. This is true. He kind of takes a long, pointed look at Jackal. Oh, damn it, Jackal. I need
wandering Jackal. A Jackal.
A Jackal is definitely at Alfred. So, Alfred, one of the things that you and Gandalf have discussed at length, the growing threat of the shadow. And you haven't told the rest of the group this yet, but Gandalf and you have discovered something very terrifying. Well, 2 things terrifying. One is that there seems to be, in Eriador, a new type of troll.
Ooh.
Gandalf and you have written to some of your, contemporaries and some of your contacts afar, especially in the lands to the south in Gondor. And they also have reported seeing trolls of unusual cunning, of fell might, and the ability to move under sunlight. The men of Gondor have begun calling these trolls Olog High, or Troll Men. Now, you had feared that these trollish forces would be, or you'd hoped that these trollish creatures and creations would be restricted down south towards the lands of Mordor. However, you believe that a group of these Olog High have made their way into Eriador, perhaps located in the Trollshaws, okay, or potentially located up here in ancient Angmar. Regardless, you believe that these trolls may be being a disruptive element to the region, but your greater concern is that this may mean the eye of the enemy is becoming fixed on Eriador, and that he may be moving forces from Mordor into Eriador, into Angmar, to once again try to seize and or destroy this realm. The rest of you don't know that. So Gandalf goes, "Oh yes, very much so. Cave trolls, most definitely stone trolls, definitely turn to stone in the daylight. Nothing else to worry about." Why, one time, when I was out with Bilbo Baggins, if you ever have a chance to meet that fine fellow, I highly recommend it. Isengard, do you know Bilbo?
Isengard, no D. Isengard's a place.
Isengard.
Gar, like a pirate. Well, yeah, of course. Who doesn't know of Bilbo and his stories?
Ah, excellent. You know, if you're that way up in Hobbiton, you should definitely take a step by. In fact, I'll probably stop by Bilbo's after this journey, and I'll tell him to expect you to be coming. There's always a kettle on, and I recommend that you avail yourself of his larder and pantry. He keeps it quite well stocked. In any case, he encountered a group of trolls once. He riddled them through the night until I dramatically appeared and took total credit for it all. It was great. Like, sun was literally about to rise like 3 minutes later, but then I cracked a stone, and then it got there like 3 minutes early, and I was like, "Dawn, take you all, and turn to stone." As if I raised the sun, and I totally didn't, but it looked awesome, and it was very dramatic. It's something wizard is never late. In any case, yes. However, the Vale the Weather Hills are the vales and valleys of the Weather Hills are quite steep, and it is unlikely that the trolls will ever find themselves out in sunlight if they can avoid it. You may be able to encounter them during the day. Might not be safe, I should say, as the valley walls will likely be steep. I should also point out that while Alfred and I were able to roughly guesstimate where this valley may be, it is still hidden from our sight. You may need to spend some time to locate it, or perhaps find the trolls, and the trolls will lead you there. Regardless, there's going to be some legwork that needs to be doing. Part of the reason that your company is perfect for this. Grom is a seasoned traveler and knows these roads and lands better than most. He'll be able to get you there safely and securely. I trust in that, Sir Dwarf. As for the rest of you, well, this is troll business, and while Alfred is a dear friend of mine, and a great warrior in his own right, he's not quite the man he used to be. There's likely to be knife work need be doing, and I trust that the rest of you will do a good job. As for you, Master Hobbit, don't get yourself killed.
Hey, if it comes to finding stuff in green places, I reckon I might be of some use.
Absolutely. And of course, this, of course, at the end of the day, affects the Shire as much as it affects Breland. For if these trolls are willing to move down into the Weather Hills, how long before they cross the Greenway, perhaps heading as far as the Brandywine and the outskirts of your fine lands? Trolls are nasty business, and not to be mucked around with. Not that any creature should be taken not seriously, but trolls are particularly brutal. They'll tear a hobbit in half, if left to it.
Turn him into jam or some such.
Yes, turn them into jam. Squish them like a jelly. Roast them. They'll prefer a hobbit or a dwarf over roast mutton. They had mutton today, mutton yesterday. Looks like mutton tomorrow. So, anyways, aside from that, please.
I feel like at this point, Grom's certainly gotten through his 2 beers. So
yes. Oh yeah. You look over at me, and it's just like I've just chugged the second one, and I just wipe a big foam off of my mustache and beard.
Yeah, and Andrania will notice, and she'll just like move her untouched beer over in front of him.
Thank you, lass. But
Lass? She raises an eyebrow.
Somebody in chat said you got to pay the boys toll. You got to pay the troll toll. Trolls, yeah. And I almost named, I couldn't help myself, because I was like, oh, okay, what am I going to name? It's like the company gathers, and and then I was like the Great Pilgrim, but I wanted to almost call it like paying the troll toll. That was going to be the name of the episode.
It would be certainly a lot easier to fight trolls if it was always sunny.
That's good.
It.
Gain a hero point. They don't exist.
A new way for you to tax our resources.
It's exactly right. All right. So Gandalf says, well, I have places to go, people to see. A wizard is always quite busy. And, of course, there's never enough of me to go around. Now, I may not be Dak through Bree for some times, but if you need me, make sure to get word to Barnabas. He's the best and most likely person. Or perhaps Halder Ironfoot, if you run amongst him. I run into him quite often along the Great East Road, and with spring and summer coming, he most certainly will be making his journeys between the Lonely Mountain and the Blue Mountains. However, I trust that you will be successful. But I implore you to use your good judgment. Dark tides are coming. He leans in. He goes, the enemy is moving. He has begun rebuilding his tower in Mordor. His eye is set on Middle-earth. Darkness is come whether you wish it or not, and it will come to these lands. Eriador is no longer a land of kingdoms and kings. It is a fractured world. Arthedain, Rhudaur, and Cardolan lie in ruins. The elves have begun leaving these shores, aside from those brave enough to stand with men and hobbits.
We are on about 70 years before we need to worry about it.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah, I think hearing the weight of Gandalf speaking about this subject, I think Alfred just comes down into like a coughing fit. He curls up into himself a little bit.
We lost somebody on a reset. They were saying their power went out. Okay. See, look at this. Look at this lovely display. As you begin coughing, Gandalf says, "Oh, you should here, have a fill of my pipe. That'll take care of that."
As cure for all that ails you.
Yeah, right. Cure for what ails you for sure. All right. Looks like we're back. KM Boutron says we have Bree, Hidden Valley, and Brandywine. What kind of charcuterie board can we come up with by the end? Maybe it turns out that Tolkien just really likes charcuterie. Anyways, Gandalf lights his pipe and he says, the weather is likely to be nasty. The Weather Hills have their name for a reason. I recommend that you bring as much tobacco as you can carry and a thick cloak on top. It's going to be a wet and, unfortunately, rather miserable trip. I, on the other hand, will make my way across the Brandywine to Hobbiton, where I will be toasting to your success. I hope to see you again soon. And with that, he gets up and he finishes his glass of red wine. I must leave you. Unless you would ask anything else of the Grey Wizard before I leave. Sick. All right. With that,
no, I think Alfred is just he's like overcome.
All right. Remember, you may have had little experience, or maybe your most glorious days you think are far behind you. But he puts a hand onto Alfred and onto Indreniel's shoulders, and he says, but remember, everyone can make a difference. Everyone matters. And together we can overcome this darkness. And with that, he infuses you with his patron's blessing, and that he turns and he leaves, walking back out as quickly as he walked in, with the rainstorm pouring down upon his head as the door slams shut, and Gandalf the Grey leaves. All right.
I think there's probably like a pregnant pause as he leaves, and Alfred kind of raises his view and kind of looks at each of you in the eye. I think he just kind of nods, and he's Isengard, please, to my abode. I need some assistance. And he kind of pushes his chair back, and he's you all know him to be, by appearance, pretty frail looking, but he kind of stands up maybe a little more upright than usual, and he beckons Isengard to follow him.
Yeah, and Isengard grabs his pint mug in two hands, because obviously here they sell them in pints.
Pints, that's right.
And follows on, because he's barely a couple of gulps through it.
All right. So let's see here. So it looks like Cynric is having some connection problems. I don't know if they lost power or whatever. So we'll try to plug through that. Interesting. They said they have a hard time hearing Soulpack, but I can hear Soulpack just fine. But I don't think they're as loud as Gull is. But you're fine. You're fine, Logan.
I can whisper if you like.
No, I'll just put a compressor.
I'll speak for me, and that solves both our problems.
I'll just put a compressor on.
I guess while we're waiting for Cynric for it to figure itself out. So Alfred would bring Isengard back to his house.
Yep.
Which Isengard has been to before. It's very messy, maybe not quite like a hoarder's house, but like he beckons him in. There's like scrolls and books on like every shelf, table. He is doing the thing where the non-walkway space on the floor, it also counts as storage. So there's like just all sorts of stuff piled up. I like him to think that he brings him back to like a separate room, and it's kind of like we're just hammering home It's Always Sunny references, but
that's right.
Charlie
Again,
with the wall.
It's an actual play, right? That Always Sunny references are completely appropriate here.
Yeah, so like on the wall, like he brings Isengard in. He probably hasn't shown Isengard this room before, and he comes in, and like on the wall is essentially like a Charlie Day, like a bunch of string connecting web.
I've got boxes full of Sauron. It's
there's tins of cat food everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Just like you can tell, like Alfred to be pretty eccentric, and he talks a lot about all sorts of things, but you can clearly tell that the shadow, all of these things that he's learned with Gandalf have been really weighing on him, mentally, physically. And he, but he doesn't he brings you into the room, and like you immediately see all of the stuff on the wall, and he doesn't acknowledge it, but he says, please, come here. And he starts like shoving off a bunch of, like scrolls and books that are on top of a thing. And he says, please help me with this. And there's like a chest, like covered in dust underneath all of this stuff. And, he asks for Isengard's help to open it. It looks like it hasn't been opened, touched in a very long time. And Isengard, you help lift the top of the chest, and it is in there. It's like his war gear stuff. You guys have all known him basically to be this vagrant old man. He likes to like hang out at the tavern or like sit on the side of the road under a tree on a rainy day. He's just kind of like the old man who likes to talk to everyone and is kind of always around. Usually not really wanted to be around, but he's kind of always there. And then in this chest you see like, very well, pristine, taken care of war gear equipment. He goes to Isengard, please, I haven't donned this in a while. Could you please help?
And Isengard hasn't seen this before, because I know you and I have done things in the past, but is this Isengard's first, like, oh shit, dude's got an armory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like seeing like an old terminally ill man busting out, a bunch of war gear. He's got a helm, reinforced shield, a mail shirt, short spear.
It's like Arnold coming back for the Terminator movies.
Yeah. So
Isengard's like, hey, bugger my Bumblebee's bread bin. How long have you been hiding this stuff for, Alfred?
It has been many a moon since I've had to pull any of this out. I had hoped that my fighting days were long gone.
I don't mean to be unkind, but even with this, mate, it strikes me that you might be a bit of a liability in fighting some trolls. Are you sure you don't just want to sit this one out? Like, I reckon, Andradian and Grom will probably knock these bad boys right on their arses.
He looks over at the wall of all of the things, all of the string connecting everything. I fear that this is too far dread of a threat for me to just stand aside.
Last march of the Ents. I fear I go to my doom. But all right, so Alfred. So with Isengard's help, you get equipped for a proper adventure, not just scholarly work as you are now heading out. And for those of us at home, you'll notice that one of the things about the One Ring is that there is no like hard definitions of class and proficiency, and you say, oh, you're this, you have to be this, you have to be this. It's true that Alfred's wits score is much much better, 7, than his strength score, 2. But with a spirit aside and a little hope, he could even Alfred could potentially make a hit and a landing. All right. So in terms of preparation, obviously, because this is the first session, we don't have as much to deal with. You guys kind of have, your equipment that you have. Remember that if you are in a place that is appropriate to your cultural, basically your cultural bearing, Bree is kind of probably a catch-all for everybody, because it's not only is it a metro, it's fairly cosmopolitan as far as things in the One Ring go, but also you all have obviously connections here. You have the opportunity to like potentially replace or change your useful items as well. So keep in mind that your prosperity rating determines the number of useful items that you can carry. So for example, if Alfred wanted to swap out his notes in a notebook, a useful item, to something else, he could do that potentially here, kind of as we kind of transition from fellowship phase into adventure phase.
I will. Prosperity rating a thing in this game? Isn't that stoned up?
What? Yeah, no. It's the amount of treasure, your treasure rating determines your prosperity rating.
Oh.
So let's see here. You have
fairy treasure.
Yeah, exactly. So the treasure table, I don't know if I'm seeing if there's like in the book. No, it's not in. I was going to see if I could show it to the people at home, but
I think prosperous is like 90 or something.
Yeah, so frugal is 0, common is 30, prosperous is 90, rich is 180, and very rich is 300. So so again, kind of taking a step back, you guys are not player characters. You are player heroes. So there is this idea of, you're here to do the good deed. But, and this is very important, remember that what most people know of, Tolkien and Fellowship, Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, is the Fellowship of the Ring. And the Fellowship of the Ring was a group of essentially high-level princes and kings going on the uber ultimate quest, and they were all destined for hyper greatness, including having a demigod in the party. So it's like the equivalent of like a bunch of 15th level characters and then the hobbits, who were more like hirelings really at this point. But even then, by the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, Merry and Pippin are guardsmen of chamber high guardsmen of Gondor and esquires of Rohan. They've drank the Entdrot, and they're now literally like a foot taller. They kind of skipped that part in the movie, I think, and maybe it's in the extended edition. They're like stronger and taller than any hobbit. But when they go back to the Scourging of Shire, they're just like ripping people apart. It's anyways. But what I was going to say.
Plus, Lord of the Rings uses that one of those systems that I think it's in like Dragonbane and such, where it's like if you're a younger character, you get more luck. So
right.
the halflings, while they're only level 1, they just get plot armor through most of the novels.
Correct.
And they get boosted up to max level by the rest of the party.
Right. Well, see, it was old enough that like the XP that the high level characters were getting was like super leveling the hobbits. They were just leveling up left and right. They're like, oh, we trained with Boromir that one time, gain a level. Okay, great. And then of course, obviously, they get completely pimped out with all sorts of crazy magic items and stuff. Anyway,
twink gear.
Yeah, they get twinked completely. But what I was going to say is, your characters are still at this idea of you're adventurers, you're player heroes, but you're adventurers. You're still interested in fortune and glory and lore and, whatever, I don't want to call them base desires, but, you aren't necessarily the, hyper, nothing else matters but the destruction of Sauron. Like, that's not necessarily who you are. Now, Gandalf as your patron, he's there to encourage you to do these things. But remember, if you guys are like, oh, we heard about a dwarf treasure hoard, we want to go get it. Like, that's still totally acceptable, because it's reasonable that your characters are still kind of in that mindset of we're just adventurers. We're going to try to do the good thing. In a certain sense, you're no different than like a neutral good PC in a D&D game, right? You're going to do the right thing. You're going to do the noble thing, but you're not perfect. You're not this quadruple heir of Elendil. You're not a demigod sent by the one true God or whatever. So you can still have those sort of moral foibles. All to say, gaining treasure is still a thing in this game. That was the long way of me saying that. And it could be useful, and it could be something that you could aspire to, or you could not care about it, right? It's up to you. So. Now, unfortunately, so at this point we would probably do a journey scene, and I would cut, hard. I would do a hard cut to like the group on the outskirts of Bree. The next morning, the sun is just beginning to rise, but it's dark and cloudy. Rains are coming down in sheets, and the characters are already looking a little miserable. Maybe. Tobacco pipes are clenched between teeth, and thick, heavy cloaks are about everybody, and you could see them kind of packing up ponies with what supplies that they could carry. And we would do a journey, and we will, but unfortunately, it looks like Sinric lost power. And Grom is your guys's. He's your hard carry for traveling. So I'm gonna have to like fill in as his character while he is doing that. I'll
offer an alternative.
Yes, please.
We could say that he needed to run ahead on the day, like he had something to do, and that the rest of the party planned to set out a day after, and then we just make do along the road, planning to meet him at the last bridge.
That is possible, but remember, you're actually going up into the Weather Hills, so you're not going quite as far as.
Not to the Trollshaws. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Trollshaws. Yeah, that's what they're saying. They came out of the Trollshaws, and have moved into the Weather Hills, which is why it's such a concern for the people of Bree, because they're close enough now that they could potentially maybe even begin attacking nearby farms and villages and things of that nature.
Sure.
So we will transfer to a journey scene, and the way that we do a journey scene is this is one of the defined mechanical aspects of the game. The group is currently located here in Bree. Oh, I don't have my ping module. All right. Here we go. All right,
I suppose with Grom, he is going to be with the travel guy, he'd be the guide anyway, which bad things don't happen to.
Correct.
At the
Correct.
very least.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. Now, normally being the guide, he would sort of be the final say, I suppose you could say, about whether or not you guys go one way or the other. But yeah, we'll kind of turn him into NPC mode a little bit, and he can still help the party out as well as he can. All right, so you guys should have access to. I hopefully have access to the drawing tools. So. You, Jackal, you and Gandalf work together. Alfred and Gandalf work together and determined that this Vale of Morglin likely lies somewhere along the northeast slope of the Weather Hills. So what you guys need to do is, and let me know if you don't have...
no drawing tools on my end.
No drawing tools. How do I give this is one of those, if anybody wants to tell me how in Foundry I can give players access to the drawing tools.
User management.
User management.
Going to tour management it's called here.
I clicked user management and it kicked me out.
Oh yeah, because it'll bring you to the user login.
Yeah, so I don't want that.
I think. Can you edit? Oh, maybe it's just in configure settings.
Tour management. Core. Maybe it's just in settings. Configure permissions. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Create cards, create items, create map notes, create tokens, delete tokens, display the cursor, make manual rolls, open close doors, ping the canvas, use drawing tools. Yay! All right. Thank you, Foundry. Yeah, thank you, chat. So you guys should now have access to your drawing tools. So what you guys have to do now, normally this would be, I would put Grom in charge of this. You guys can discuss, but Grom would be the, kind of the ultimate person who would be in charge of the pen. You guys need to decide what your route is going to be to get to the rough and approximate location of the Weather Hills. So, shockingly, to do a journey in the One Ring, you need to you have to have a destination. Yeah. So the journey rules come in when the group is traveling, and it is the case. Again, mostly for people at home. We do try to educate on this channel as well. That there is there's an idea in this game that you're not necessarily going to be doing a hex crawl. You're not just going to be roaming the wilds, just looking for shit to happen and having random encounters, right? Like, you're going to be doing stuff with purpose, whether it's a patron like Gandalf or maybe, Bilbo or Elrond of Rivendell, setting you out on a mission, or it could be that you all in your fellowship phase and Jackal poring over ancient scrolls, discovers that, there's this legendary lost tower of the elves and Adraniel is like, how I would long and love to rediscover that for my people or whatever. And the group goes, cool, let's find it, let's go to it. So having a destination is sort of in mind with this. And this, go see my travel live stream where I talked about the difference between journeying versus traveling versus exploration. Anyways, but what is up to you is your destination. Now, for people at home, normally I would have something really awesome and cool, but because this is an actual play, my players can't see this. But you all who are watching live can, which is kind of funny, actually, which is that this is the player map. Keep in mind that this isn't a real physical map that they have. It is a sort of an approximation of what they know about the lands of Eriador. Now, in the Third Age. Now, keep in mind, this is way more detail than the average person knows. But these are adventurers, these are player heroes, these are people who have come, over the Misty Mountains or out of Lindon. They are much more experienced and knowledgeable, either, being worldly, having traveled, or, being well studied and learned than most people. So this map represents sort of a base level of what they know. But as the game goes on and they do research and add things, we'll add things to this map. However, again, for people at home, who are watching, I actually have a GM map that is hidden to them. Okay. And the hidden map shows the hex grid, and it also shows how dangerous or how nasty certain areas are. Okay. Including whether or not it is a perilous location. So the players only see this rough thing. What they'll do is they will draw a path, and then I will convert that into a journey. And then we will proceed on a journey. Representing several days or even potentially a week of travel. So you guys have to decide how you're going to get there. Now, there are mechanical effects to everything, and if you'd like, I can discuss them, or you guys can discuss how you want to go. And again, normally I would put Grom in charge of this, so we'll just kind of leave it more diplomatically open.
I think it might be potentially cool if you feel up to it, to take kind of like a leadership delegation role in these kinds of scenes, goblins, because that's like an arc of your character.
Yeah, true. I was thinking Weathertop and then North. I don't know who draw the lines, but someone read my mind.
Right, it's taking everything that I have as a person, all my will, to not draw cock and balls. I've been struggling with it for the past 5 minutes.
Let it not be said that,
What wisdom do you see in the northern path?
Well, I have traveled to Fornost once with Alfred, and I had to carry all his stuff. So,
hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey!
It's someone else's problem now.
Hello, you don't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
us. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, Clem Fandango.
We can hear you. Apparently, he can't hear us, but we can hear you just fine. Anytime I do this, I feel like there's that scene from
I have no idea what happened. It's not even like storming or raining or anything. And it was just like, nah, we're going to just flicker and screw your sound, apparently.
All right. Well,
we're
that's
glad
all
to be
right.
back.
You're back. He comes back to us now at the turn of the tide. And a dwarf is never
apparently
is never
I lost
late.
sound again. What the hell?
Dwarf is never late. Oh no.
Although they did disappear from the main canon.
So that's true. So for people at home as well. So let me kind of break down through this for you guys. So you guys are going to go out onto a journey. A journey is going to potentially expose you. Hello?
Hello.
I can hear, like, for whatever reason, it's just Zoom.
Oh.
Do you have multiple instances, or is it using your webcam or something? Oh, I guess webcam was a bad pull for me, but is it using a second device?
So while he tries to get sort of set up, I'll kind of remind folks of it. So journeying in this game doesn't work hex by hex by hex. Like, it's not a hex crawl. Instead, one member of the party, only one, is assigned the role of the guide. And the guide is sort of the person who basically is, the person who is, basically drawing the path and leading the group as sort of like the leader of the expedition. They will make a travel test. The travel test will determine how many hexes the group travels before they have an event. So it's kind of like, it's sort of like a distance plus a random encounter plus a thing all rolled into one. So it's kind of like, instead of just being a pure random encounter, it's actually a player test in a way. And so if the player succeeds, you will move a greater number of hexes before you have an event. If the player fails, you still make progress. And it's not like you travel slower. It just means that you might only travel a couple of days before you have an event. I should also note that in the spring and the summertime, this is just for mechanical people taking notes. If you succeed, you will travel 3 hexes. And again, the players don't see hexes. Remember that, chat. That's just for our purposes. They have to live in world and be immersed and have it be annoying. if the group travels, if the group succeeds at the travel check, they will travel 3 hexes plus an additional hex for each Tengwar rune that they roll on the d6. That will represent. So you could potentially get 4 or 5 hexes. If you fail, you'll travel 2 hexes before an event in the spring and summer. In the fall and winter, it's only 1 hex that you travel. Additionally, traveling on roads, traveling through difficult terrain, traveling through dangerous or perilous areas can all affect all of the rolls that you make. It can give you bonus dice or penalty dice. It can also affect how likely it is that the forces of the enemy or the servants of Sauron find you and to come upon you. It also sets the tone for whether or not the random chance roll is normal, favored, aka rolled with advantage, or ill-favored, aka rolled with disadvantage. Obviously, if I roll an Eye of Sauron or a 1 or a 2, it's worse for you than if I roll a 10 or a Gandalf rune. So the choice of the path that you take actually becomes quite powerful. And over time, you will start to learn the region. You'll start to learn the map. You'll actually start to learn which routes are maybe a little safer than others as things go on. So, Did
Tolkien ever talk about water pressure rules? The directions of the winds ever?
No, not specifically, but I do believe that in the winter time the winds come mostly blowing out of the north, and over out of Forwardwaith and over Forochel, which is the cold north winds that blow down. But specifically, I don't exactly know. I mean, technically, Eriador should probably be a desert, but I'm not quite sure because there's a gigantic mountain range to the west between it and the sea. So, but I don't know. Look, he was a philologist, right? He wasn't a geologist or
maybe that's what Radagast is doing up here. He's just stopping it from being a desert.
Yeah.
Well, so old Alfred, being known as Wayward Al, a wanderer of sorts, would probably, I don't know if Grom is back, recommend taking the rain shadow side of the hills, whichever side that is.
Yes, I am back. So yeah, I was thinking y'all were like wanting to go either that side or this side up the hills.
Yeah, so hey, you know what, Alfred? Why don't you make the first skill roll of the or someone can, I suppose. I believe that there is a specific, I think that is a specific instance of the and by the way, this is a kind of as a general understanding of how skills work in this game. So for example, there is a lore skill, right? But it also represents like your love for learning, right? Your fascination with distant lands and genealogy, right? However, it's not literally the only skill that represents lore. Okay, and so for example, the explore skill might be used to be like, hey, do I know what's a good place to set up a camp, right? So you might think, oh, that's lore. Well, no. That's actually explore because it's more of a check for that. Same thing with the travel skill. Okay, a successful travel roll could let a player estimate the length of a journey, read a map, or evaluate whether a group of strangers on the road can be approached safely. A good travel skill is an invaluable asset for the guide of a company when on journey. So depending on how you're phrasing it and structuring it, right? Like a check could be lore, but it could also potentially be travel or battle or stuff like that. So the skill kind of represents more of like a sort of a array of an entire discipline, right? Not just the raw skill of walking good, but like you know how to handle yourself on the road, right? You know how to travel well, and that includes things like being able to suss out weird strangers on the road. I'm getting bad vibes from them and stuff like that. So that's what's kind of cool about this skill system. It's pretty broad in that respect. So what I was trying to say is if someone wants to make a skill check to, which side of the weather hills is going to be better weather, it could easily be lore, but it could also be something like travel is what I was trying to indicate.
Cool. I think. I mean, I'm pretty decent at all of that stuff, so it doesn't super matter. I guess. So it's him and his waywardness. And he keeps a lot of notes. I think
just got the shipping forecast. He tuned in on the radio.
I'm going to go with Explorer, I think, just because we don't know exactly where we're going as well. So
okay, yeah.
I probably should have tried rolling ever in this system before today.
Hey,
I'm gonna click the button.
No. This is an actual play. Yeah, we're gonna click the button and find out what the fuck happens. It's great. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So we got a bunch of stuff that came across the roll there. So you'll notice here for chat that Alfred, rolled an Explorer. Explorer is part of is a wits test, so his difficulty number is 11. He got a total of 14, so he succeeded. Additionally, if we look at Alfred's sheet, you can see that Alfred has a check mark next to Explorer. That indicates that that is a favored skill for him, which means that he gets to roll 2d12 and take the higher of the dice rolls. You'll also notice that Alfred has a shitload of favored skills, and the reason for that is because his one of his starting virtue is mastery, which gives him bonus favored skills. I should also note that in this game, you're rolling a d12, but it's sort of a special d12. It goes from 1 to 10, and then the other two sides are the Eye of Sauron and the Rune of Gandalf, especially appropriate for this group. The Rune of Gandalf indicates automatic success. The Eye of Sauron is actually treated as a 0. But there are instances where the Eye of Sauron can be worse than that. All right. Additionally, you got a great success. So what that means is that one of your D6s rolled a 6, giving you a Tengwar rune. So that means that, if we want to get really mechanical about it, you have an extra. You can like in combat, you can spend those Tengwar runes to do extra damage, or to pierce your foe's armor, or to increase your defense score. But in a generic sense, you have regular success, great success, and if you get 2 or more of those runes, you get extraordinary success. So what I will tell you is, this is what I'll tell you. So Alfred, you having spent.
Sorry,
Yep.
Did the usable items, are those automatically applied or no?
No, you have to make a case for them, because they won't apply for every instance of that skill, right? A useful item for, say, stealth may not apply. Like if you have a dark black cloak and you're trying to sneak through an area, I might be like, yeah, that obviously is useful. But if you're like trying to use stealth to just like blend into a crowd, then wearing your pitch black midnight cloak probably wouldn't help you, right? So you do have to kind of make the case for that. So I assume you maybe do you have an item that would apply to that?
I mean, I took an Explorer item, waterproof coat.
Okay, so in this case, I would say
really applies.
No, right? Not for this instance, right? Yeah. Not for this instance. However, so and this is where like the role playing comes in, right? So Wayward Alfred, he didn't learn this from books, right? This is an explorer role. He's known as Wayward Alfred because he's known to kind of roam the lands as sort of a wandering vagrant. He's walked these lands. He's walked these hills. He's from Breland. He's from this area. This is born out of experience, not out of learning, right? So you know that this early in the spring, the winds are still mostly blowing out of the northeast. And so taking the lee side of the Weather Hills would be taking the westerly route. Yeah. That being said, you would also be in the lee of them by taking the Greenway north. However, obviously you're tighter and closer to the hills when you're up against them. However, you will be into the wild, as Aragorn says in Fellowship of the Ring, as opposed to taking now the Greenway. For people who are wondering, they're like, oh, why wouldn't they just take this nice road? Well, it is a road. Sort of. It's a road the way that the Roman roads were still roads, in the year, 800 or 700, right? These are roads that were built in the great kingdom of Arnor. They are now mossy, overgrown. In some places, maybe they've been chiseled away and pulled out by hundreds of years of people living in the area. They're cracked, but it's still better than just hoofing it through the middle of a forest or a woods. So, anyways, Jackal, that's what you learn, and if you act on that advice, Jackal, I will give you guys consider you guys favored for those circumstances for how well you can travel, giving you a bonus d6. All right, so Grom, are you back?
I am.
Okay, great. So Grom, now let's get to the meat of it. So Grom is your guys' guide. So if you guys bring up the company sheet, and I'm showing it to the people at home, you guys can see that Grom has been assigned to the guide. There are three. There is only one guide, and the other players must be assigned to all the other roles. So there are 3 other roles to be filled during the travel: the hunters, the scouts, and the lookouts. So the hunters keep the group fed and watered as they move through the travelings. I mean, in some cases, these travels can represent days or even weeks of travel. And as I've talked about many times, due to my own experiences with overland hiking, it is just not feasible or practical for you to carry that kind of stuff. Scouts look for, they scout ahead. They look for shortcuts, and they are trying to keep an eye out for, keeping the group, if the trail ahead is washed out or something like that. Lookouts are sort of looking behind, right? If you can think of it that way. Lookouts are mostly staying with the group. They're the ones who are more concerned about dangers and enemies, whereas the scouts are more focused on, getting to the destination, keeping their eyes open for opportunities. So if you could think of it that way. And thus, each of these skills or each of these roles tests a different skill. Now, in an instance when an event occurs, I will roll randomly, and that will determine which of these roles will be challenged by the event. And I'm guessing one of these things does that. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a randomly choose a player character.
Oh, excellent.
I think it would also pull, I think when you do the travel roll, I think it also pulls, like when you're doing the journey, I think it pulls from its respective grouping as well.
Perfect. All right. So that is going to be then to you, Grom, because ultimately, Grom, your party members have made their suggestions, but I'm going to ultimately leave it to you, Grom, to draw the party's final destination, final route, and then we will set off on the journey.
All right.
I don't know if we can do that, but I don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that the best person for navigating necessarily chooses the path. I think they kind of, how I envision, Legolas and Aragorn are like following the path that Gandalf advises, or like finding the best way to make Gandalf's vision come to fruition, is how I would envision that potentially. But I don't know.
Well, what I mean more is, so as the guide, like obviously, right, this is why chat gets to vote whether you guys, get fellowship points. It's a communal group, but I'm saying ultimately Cynric gets to draw the line that we're actually going to mechanically follow, is what I'm saying.
By the rules of the game, right?
Yeah. Yes, by the rules of the game. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, because if you say I'm taking the road and Grom says I'm taking the line along the hills, the game doesn't have you guys split up. You know what I mean? Like ultimately, someone has to make the final decision. Now, you guys should discuss it. I'm not saying it's like they should make the decision and not consult anybody. And you guys obviously had your recommendations, and you can continue to discuss it. I'm saying as the guide, Cynric makes the final path.
But he pushes the button.
Because what I do, by the way, is, again, you don't see this. I'm going to take the line that he draws, and I'm going to overlay it against my secret GM map, and it will tell me whether or not you guys go through a perilous area, have random encounters, go into a dark land, cause issues. So even like if he decides to squiggle around a little hill differently, that could literally result in a different outcome to your journey.
Sure. So I see why, and if it's in the rules, it's in the rules. Personally, I think it would be more interesting if a different character drew the line, and Brom had to lead us through that line. Like, I mean, obviously with like you're saying, group discussion, but like the Goblin's character is like supposed to be like a leadership focused character, but that's not really an element of Grom as far as I know. So in lore, it wouldn't really make sense, I guess.
Right. But I mean, again, the idea here is that's like, sure, Otar might be a leader, and Otar can definitely lead, but at the end of the day, Grom is the one who knows the paths. You know what I mean? So like, this would be like the CEO who doesn't know how to program coming in and being like, I think you should add a line of code there. We should definitely, you should recompile that matrix. And the programmer's
leading by delegation.
Yeah, the programmer's like, the fuck you.
Yeah, but we don't need that. Yeah.
Right. So
no, I understand what you're saying, but yeah.
If you like, we can get goblins to tell Cedric, hey Cedric, draw the line please, and then we'll continue.
Even that, there's fun to that. If Goblin has to describe what he wants and Cedric has to interpret that, and
right. But also too, is Otar the leader of your group?
I don't know. I feel like the only way to know is to test it.
I do I wonder, since Otar and I have been up the road to Fornost.
Yep.
And we didn't have a great time there.
Yep.
I wonder if that makes us more want to go that way or less so to go that way. Like more because I was thinking like
you've traveled that road before.
Right, we have traveled that road before. I wonder if my dogs are freaking out right now. That
as they do.
If we think that the shadow is coming maybe from that way, or just we didn't have a great night there. Would we want to try to meet it head on, or are we trying to avoid it? I guess I'm just throwing this out into the ether for discussion.
My thinking is we also heard, and again, I missed some stuff after I got disconnected, but there were reports of attacks along the Great East Road. So I thought if we went that way, we may find clues of something going this direction as well.
Oh, yeah, and Halder Ironfoot might be traveling this way as well.
Right.
We might run into him as well.
Correct. He's definitely, there's one of the results, I was seeding that. One of the results you can get is chance encounter, like where you encounter somebody along the road. And so that's kind of teeing that up.
I think Otter's reasoning is that he sees Alfred with all this new stuff suddenly. He is never going north with Arthur carrying weapons and armor and stuff. So, Otter he has traveled both roads actually. He's been in the company of Haldur before. So I think I know that the Great East Road is probably better in the beginning, at least.
I will bow to your guys' wisdom, but I do fear that we're fearing the wrong thing. In our efforts to avoid the weather, we do have to pass through a valley, which has been alluded, potentially allows the trolls to act in daytime.
Yes, so there is a you have to go over the mountains, right, or the hills, right, to get to the other side. So that is a factor. So,
and we aren't a great war band. I look at our elderly and those under 4 feet tall,
just like hacking up a lung up the side.
Yes,
I'm inclined to agree with Andraniel, because if it is pissing it down with rain, the rain is going to sort of lollop its way through to the lower areas. So I kind of think it's better to either go around or go over the top.
Also, just randomly, I was thinking about this. Actually, if you really wanted to really highlight that soul pack, what I would do is if Goblins wants to assert his dominance over the group, is just have him without. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe with or without consulting you guys. Have him be the one who drags you guys into your roles, Like
Oh,
he's
that's
like
fun.
he's like you're scouting, you're looking out, you're going to be on hunting. You're going to be keeping us on the route. Like so that'd be kind of like a way of sort of delegating out, literally delegating out jobs and saying like, okay, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. And to be clear, it depends on the situation and what you're doing. There might be a reason for other people to be in different roles, for example. Anyways, because there might be things like what useful items you have, what are your main concerns, and based off of the elements that have been discussed.
So are y'all thinking going the long way then? Because I will be deferring to whatever the group thinks the best at this point. So
my thinking was we can either do something a bit like this, or something a bit like this. That's a slight exaggeration in terms of like.
It is, but remember,
it matters.
It matters, and a longer path means that you have to make more travel rolls, which means you might accumulate more fatigue, which means by the time you get there, you might have more. Again, now for people who have, high or really good travel rolls and or stout ponies, this might be less of a concern, but for other people, it might be more of an issue.
I think the far side of Weathertop is the safest path, but maybe that's not the type of safeness, or maybe I'm valuing safety too highly. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
How do I clear this?
So I think what you can do is
there's the select drawings tool, and then you just drag the box and then delete.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So I want to create. What would this be?
So we're thinking. Okay, yeah.
Decisions. No, that's not it.
That looks good.
That does it for me. Barleycorn can walk that, no problem, and I think it will be a bit less worrisome on the little ankle breaking divots in the trees, the forest, the woods of the hills.
Yeah, so I actually have useful items, a detailed set of maps for travel. So I'll pull that out and draw on that and be like, does this look good for everyone?
Yes, I trust your judgment, Master Dwarf.
Huh.
In it to win it.
Has anybody actually? I don't think this journey log works.
I messed around with it, but I don't have full edit control to actually like drag and drop and write it up. So I think you might have to do that.
Right. I do have full control to edit, drop, and it's not doing that. So. Like I can add it to the. I can add it to the company, but I can't like actually put anything. Like there's buttons to put plus, but they don't.
Are you not able to like drag the character sheets onto the journey?
Nope, guys. What did I forget to do?
Hold Alt Shift WX.
Yes, hold Alt Shift WX. Okay. All right. So what ponies do we have?
Barleycorn.
Barleycorn, and what's the Barleycorn's vigor?
1.
Okay, 1. And then who else? I know we got at least another one.
I have
go ahead.
one.
Yeah.
Alfred has an old horse named Reuben.
Okay. With
Is the horse as old as Alfred?
Yes.
Some say.
Horse is fucking dead, mate.
I assume Reuben has vigor of 1.
Yes, possible.
Okay. And Otar?
I have a +2. Cobb. It's a horse.
And what's his name?
Cobb. Cobb.
Okay, Cobb. Okay, great. And then we've got Alfred.
Grom has Iron Hoof, vigor 2.
All right.
There's 3 food related ones, and then Iron Hoof.
All right. All right, we got Grom as the guide, and we've got. Let's see, what else you guys got? All right, Otar is going to be your hunter, and now again, this you don't have to do this. It's just like for. I love, by the way, too, that the old man is also your scout.
That's just his thing.
Well, this is also where I'm going to give him ill favor for me.
What do you suppose that represents in the journey?
What's that?
Like, what is the person who's the scout doing that the guide isn't doing?
So the guide is in charge of all decisions concerning the route, the rest, and supplies. The scout is in charge of setting up camp and opening up and finding new trails. So the guide is basically like they're kind of the quarterback. They're like, okay, today we're gonna make it over these next 2 mountains, and it's like, okay, Alfred, go ahead and see which one of these little river beds maybe gets us through to the other side, and can you get us on? Is there a shortcut, or do we have to go over the top? So the guide is really kind of acting as sort of the QB for that perspective, and the guide is the one who says, okay, we're gonna stop here for we're gonna stop here for lunch. We're gonna stop. That's what the guide is doing. So, all righty. Does this work? Oh, it does. Sick. Okay. All right. We're learning. Okay. So you guys have a map, or you guys have a. Who? Did somebody update the name of this journey to Troll?
Oh yeah, Troll Toll.
Oh, that's so good. Okay. So you guys are headed for the Weather Hills, and specifically, actually, you're heading to the Vale of Morgland. All right. And of course, we'll get more, we'll get a bit faster at this as we play more. Morgland. Vale of Morgland. Okay. And I guess I can upload an image here, but I don't really have one, so I'll just take a screenshot and do it later. Because I think you're right. I think, Gull, it does leave like a what's the word I'm looking for? It creates like a log on your character sheet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. So let me do.
I think that there's the events roll thing on the right side of the journal when you roll for events. I think there's a roll table that you have that will pick someone and do all this stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, shit. So, all right. So the journey begins now. As you leave, this probably won't matter, but again, I'm kind of letting you guys know how the game works a little bit, because of this journey's fairly short, and you guys are still fairly low level. So there is this idea, which is that every time you guys leave and go out into the into the wilds, that Sauron and his forces and the nature of the evil of the shadow may find you and come for you and destroy you. So there is this idea of something called the Eye of Mordor. Okay, and this is called eye awareness. All right, it is right now. It's part of your company, and you have an initial value. If you have only men and elves, only hobbits and men, it is 0. If you have 1 or more dwarves, it's 1. If you have 1 or more elves, it's 2. If you have 1 or more high elves, it's 3. So because you have an elf, your initial value is 2. All right. When you leave town, it's 2. Now, as you become more famous, as you get legendary arms and armor, as you become great characters and heroes in your own right, that starting value will increase, right? It's like a fame. It's like a bad fame score, right? Because the eye is aware of you. Anytime you roll outside of combat, you roll a Eye of Sauron. Even if you succeed at the roll, if you roll an Eye of Sauron, the eye awareness goes up by 1. Additionally, if it's a particularly dramatic or grave moment, I might award 2 points. On the other hand, if you're in a particularly safe, well-secured, sheltered area, it might award 0 points. Additionally, anytime a player hero, is tormented by grief or beset by the threat of corruption, that burden that carries upon your soul, the shadow is quick to recognize and exploit that. So anytime a player hero gains 1 or more shadow outside of combat, increase the eye awareness level by an equal amount. So if everybody in the party suddenly gained 2 points of shadow, right, I would increase the eye awareness by 10. If you use magic powers or spooky weird elf shit or bust out flaming swords, the eye awareness goes up. So be aware of that. Currently, the only person with any sort of magical hooty-hoo is the elf. Okay? But the dwarf can get them through an advancement, and eventually some of you may even acquire magical. Think of it this way: if you're like, oh shit, whoop, and you put on your ring and turn invisible in the middle of a crowded tavern, the eye of Sauron is I noticed something is up. All right. What will eventually happen is if the eye awareness gets high enough, and you're in, depending on what type of terrain you're in, that will trigger what is called the hunt. And when the hunt occurs, basically the company is revealed to the enemy, and I will throw a revelation episode at you. So think of it as a dangerous event reflecting the hostility of the growing power of the shadow and the threat against you. All right. Now it could vary from time to time. It could be an attack by orcs. It could be an accident caused by the ill will of ancient powers, or it could simply be a particularly unusual but sinister stroke of bad luck. So, but that is called a revelation episode, and that can occur. So, so be aware of that. Just something to be managed. Now, the good news is, as soon as you go back to town, as soon as your adventure is over and you go back to a safe place, that resets. So it's only out when you're out adventuring. Alrighty, so you guys are at 8 fellowship, you're at 2 eye awareness, and you guys have your things. So let us go ahead and start. So on a rainy early spring day in the year 2965 of the Third Age, the company, 2965, the company, you guys will eventually have to come up with a name. The company out of Bree leaves along the Great Eastern Road. So we're going to start with a travel roll from our guide. Now, according to Golda Cat, we should be able to just do this. Yes. So if you bring up the company, you could do it from your character sheet as well, but if you go up to the company and you click the little dice under guide, it says, oh, make a travel roll. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So I have a useful item, a detailed set of maps for travel.
Yep.
And then I am feeling particularly hopeful about this journey. So I'm going to spend some hope.
Okay, great.
And could I argue that it is inspired from my wariness that I am keeping an eye out for dangers because we know trolls have been along this road?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
That is a great example of it, right? You know about the trolls, your character's wary, you're taking extra precautions to make this as safe of a journey as possible.
Hopefully that goes.
Oh my goodness.
And somehow no 6s. Are you kidding me?
Be an elf.
All right. Number 1. Somehow no 6s. Are you kidding me? Welcome to Free League. All right, that's
wait, there was one. There was.
Oh
one.
yeah, you
okay.
got one. Yeah, you got one. Yeah, you got a great success. All right, so you got 1 6. All right. So a bunch of stuff just happened there, but you rolled. You got a 25, which, needless to say, beat your dice. So he was inspired, favored, and he spent a hope point. However, you also rolled a 6 and an Eye of Sauron. Because you're favored, we take the 6. You then roll a 5, 1, 1, 4, 6, 2, which all add up to your total of 25. You got 1 6. So what this means is that your character, guys are able to move 4 hexes before you have an event. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, each of these journeys that I'm moving you on actually represents a day of travel along a road. Now, if you're in particularly rough terrain, like you don't actually technically it's just hexes. The length of time doesn't really matter. But if you're interested, like along roads and clear passing, you can usually travel 1 hex a day. In particularly bad terrain, it might take you 2 days or 3 days to get through a terrain. Anyways.
Wait,
yeah.
Question about maps. You said that this isn't like a literal representation, and then there's the GM's map. Yeah. Are like the tree lines different on your map, or
nope?
Like how different is it? Oh, okay.
So what's different about my map is my map has it's color coded, so I know whether you're in a safe, a risky, or a deadly area. And I also have certain areas on my map that are black bordered, and if you go into them, it immediately triggers an event.
Oh, interesting. But so, Weathertop is where Weathertop is.
Weathertop is where Weathertop is. Yes, that's correct.
I'm excited
for an overlay.
I'm excited for map pixel pitching.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna you touched it a little bit, but
I mean, I vote you always favor in the harder, the bigger challenge. So if we touch it, give it to us.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yes, I mean, you're on a hex, so you can't actually go straight. You technically have to do this, but I'm not going to do this. For your edification at home, okay, there is a line of hexes that goes east of Bree that is safe. Above it is more dangerous, and below it is more dangerous. And technically, if you actually followed the exact road, you would technically tip into those little harder hexes. But yeah, we're not going to do that. So, but just to give you a sense of scale, you guys left Bree, and you traveled, and we're going to have an event, which we'll roll here in a second. But if we scroll out to the wider map, okay, that was 4 days of travel. Just to get that far down that's along a road, so that's like good terrain, right? With the party has a fairly sizable baggage train, right? I think you have a couple of mules, ponies, and at least a horse or two. So that's 4 days of journey down this road, right? So, driving rain endlessly pours as you head out east. Here, south of the Weather Hills, Weathertop is quite literally the last. It's not only the largest hill in the Weather Hills, it's also the tallest and the last one. It's the most southern. You are exposed to sort of the full unrelenting force of the wind and the rains. As you are, as you're north of the downs and any sort of covering terrain, there's very little. It's kind of open, scrubby. In fact, for the first 2 days, you're basically passing just south of the Midgewater Marshes. So it's this kind of like, there's really nothing to stop, just endless wind and driving. It's cold. It's uncomfortable. The wind is blowing mostly out of the north, carrying with it still that tinge of cold. There's probably even a couple of moments where it starts sleeting and kind of like that icy, rainy mix, just because it's so early. So it's very miserable and not fun at all. However, after 4 days of bitter travel, you guys are able to keep dwarves can light a fire in any weather, and you're able to keep yourselves warmed at night. The horses are well stocked and well provisioned, so you're able to keep yourselves going for the time being. However, now this is where I've been led to believe I can roll this. So
yeah, I think it's in the actual journey log of the events section.
Right.
There's like a dice.
So this is where, for chat at home, okay, I am looking at the type of terrain that they're in and that they've predominantly traveled through. And we could see that they have predominantly traveled through a wild land. Note, chat, that there's very few safe areas in Eriador. One side note, one of the things I want to do with the Moria game is that obviously Moria pretty much all starts off as dark land, right? All super dangerous. But as the group, fights back and wins back against the forces of evil and darkness, is change the color of the hexes, to make them more, safe. So this is going to be a wild land roll. All right. So this is going to target the hunter, and it is going to be the shortcut event. Now, oops, there we go. So what that means is if the roll succeeds, so mechanically what this means is if the roll succeeds, reduce the length of the journey by 1 day. Okay? Regardless of what happens, this also increases the group's fatigue. So what this means is that everybody gains a point of fatigue. Not yet. It gets accounted for at the end of the journey. Who is our hunter? Otar. Okay.
Yes.
So yes. So you're driving. You've been driving east for a number of days, when the group makes the unfortunate discovery that the rain has gotten into the packs and that the food that you have brought is been all used up. Unfortunately, in this driving rain, it will be very difficult to secure enough game, even though it is the springtime. In this case, the shortcut represents whether or not the group has to basically stop for a day or two while you try to hunt enough food to keep you going, or are you able to succeed and thus virtually shave a day off because you're able to get such a bountiful catch that the group is able to actually gain time rather than lose time. So.
Yeah, Otto will ride out and try to see if he can find some game. And trusting the raven to guide him to something he can eat. So hopefully I can use that as a useful item.
Well, what skill is the raven connected to?
Hunting.
Okay, hunting. Okay. Yes. Yes. So the raven kind of looks at you, and again, you have this sort of pseudo quasi telepathic. It's more empathic, right? You can't really speak to it yet, but
yep.
The raven is kind of your eye in the sky, and you see him circling far away. You dismount from your horse and you make your way through the low, muddy ground. And when you come across up over a thing, so this is going to be an opportunity. So, Goblins Android, this is an opportunity for misdeed. You see a large doe. She's close by, and because of the driving rain and the wind direction, she hasn't caught you or your horse's scent at all. It should be a clean shot, an easy shot. In fact, I'm going to give you a bonus D6 to your hunting roll on top of, so that's for favorable circumstances. But the doe has 2 fawns with her, new springlings.
So is it a misdeed if you just get all of them? Like, I don't.
I didn't break up the family. Bambi's fine.
Okay. Well, this isn't Pathfinder 2, so he's not going to be like.
You mean he can't just Legolas and shoot 3 at once and get them? Like, what is this? What are we even doing here?
Literally unplayable.
Yes.
So I think I will shoot one of the baby fawns.
Okay, you're gonna take the baby fawn. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go.
Then the other ones have a chance.
You know what? That's a very balanced and reasonable approach. I don't mind it. All right, go ahead and make your roll. Now, I was going to offer you, if you didn't take the shot, I was going to say it's an automatic failure. In this case, I'm actually going to give you a penalty die, representing the fact that even if you're successful, there may not be enough food there to really sustain the party. So that's going to represent that. So go ahead and give yourself a penalty die for unfavorable circumstances.
Okay, but I get one from the raven.
Yep.
And you said you wanted to give me one?
I was going to give you one if you shot the
Okay.
doe. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. And then, of course,
So
you can
I-
also spend hope if you want.
Yeah, so I will spend hope, and then I'm at 0 bonus. Dice. And go.
Ooh. All right. Well, great. No Tengwar runes, but you did get a 24, so it is an absolute massive success. So as a result of this, the length of the journey is reduced by 1 day. So basically, functionally, you guys basically advance a hex for free. So it's like you get that hex for free. However, as noted, you do also pick up a point of fatigue, just from representing the general passing of the road. However, thanks to Otar's quick decision, one of the fawns is brought down low, and he is able to make expert work of it, making as good of use of the meat as he can. And of course, obviously, the mother doe and her remaining offspring run off into the wilds. It is not as filling of a meal as you would like, but you do make the kill quickly, and the group is able to use that time to make progress in the days ahead. In fact, now you find yourself starting to come around the weather hills, and now when you look north, the darkness of the clouds is punctuated by this large, ominous, bowl-shaped, almost a mountain, but not quite. And even from this distance in the driving rain, you can just make out the ancient ruins of Amansul, the great watchtower of the northern kingdom of Arnor, which once held a legendary palantir, a seeing stone that allowed the kings of the north to look out over their lands and dominion, a beacon, a signal for the authority that the kingdoms of men once held in these lands. And now, also very much a symbol, a ruined and weathered desolation upon a lonely and barren mountaintop. All right, so that was your first event and your first part of your journey. So now we go into part 2. So Grom, that's going to be you again on the travel roll. Tell us what you're doing as you kind of start to guide the party around Weathertop and start heading off of the Great East Road and into the proper wild. Your pace is likely to slow. Things are going to get a little bit more dangerous. Penalty dice could accumulate. But what are you doing?
After the previous several days of journey not going quite as well as I had hoped, my hope was starting to dwindle a little bit, but I think Otar restored my hope in finding us a fine meal, even if it was slight. I am still going to go ahead and spend hope and have the inspired as well with the maps. So
great. Okay, so you're getting 2 bonus dice from hope because you're inspired. Is that right or no?
Yes.
Yeah, and then 1 bonus dice from your map, from your useful items. That's 3 bonus dice. And again, remember, too, anybody in the party can also aid him and help him and assist him as well.
What is inspired? Sorry.
So if you spend hope to add a bonus d6 to one of your dice rolls, if you can point out why one of your distinctive traits particularly applies to that roll, you become inspired, and thus when you spend the hope, instead of getting 1 bonus d6, you get 2 bonus d6s. So it literally doubles the bonus. There
okay,
also, I think,
which trait are you invoking here?
Wary.
Again?
Yeah,
right, wary. Because of the threat of the trolls and all that other stuff. All right, ooh, double 6s. So this is an extraordinary result as you lead the group around the Weather Hills. You pick a masterful route, and you are going to travel not 3 days, not 4 days, but 5 days before you reach your destination. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, all right.
All right. So I'm not exactly sure what the rule is when you reach it exactly, so we'll do one more event. So we'll have one more event representing your guys' passageway up the side of the Weather Hills. Again, this is now here's the deal, though. Okay, just for edification. 1 day, 2, 3 days, 4, 5 days, 6, 7 days, 8, 9 days. So you guys have now been on the road for close to 2 weeks. As you guys travel along these ways. And again, the ponies are particularly sure-footed, but the horses, while a little bit faster, aren't necessarily quite so effective. And if everybody's on a horse, and if everybody is in good terrain, you can move a little bit faster, but that is obviously not the case. Hell, Adrenial, she doesn't even have a pony, so that's definitely not happening. All right.
We should just give all treasure to the elf so she can buy a pony.
You will not be taking my treasure, sir.
Okay. All right. Somehow it's the exact same roll.
More shortcuts.
All right, more shortcuts. All right, but you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to pick somebody different instead of the hunter. So I'm going to roll d6. Okay, so this is going to be for the scout. Or the scouts. Okay, so scouts, you're heading along the east of the. So this is Alfred. You're heading east along the Weather Hills. There's an opportunity to reduce the journey length by 1 day. Not that it really matters too much, but because you're going to get there. But what is the shortcut that you're looking for, and how did you find it or not find it?
Sure. So it's probably fairly stormy
Yeah.
Or
in fact, as you guys now move to the east side of the Weather Hills, I'm actually going to be giving you a penalty die because now the rain is hitting you square on. Like you are not in the lee at all of the hills. Even when you were down on the road to the south, you were kind of, when the wind was coming from the northeast, the Weather Hills were still sort of breaking it. You're now in the actual shit of it. It's actually completely horrible and terrible.
Yes, fortunately, Wayward Alfred with his handy waterproof coat. He also has an ancient staff that is a travel usable item. Anyways, he is wanderer by trade. Essentially, is used to maneuvering through treacherous terrain, just like as a habit. Like it's not even like. It's not even really conscious at this point, just because he just kind of walks around all the time. So I think just whereas like maybe if he didn't have a waterproof coat and was not used to this type of thing, he would probably like stick to being like trying to go under every single thing that is providing cover from the rain. I think he maybe is scouting maybe a little higher in the terrain along the hills than one normally would, who is somebody who's trying to get cover from the elements. So I think just he's able to maybe see a trail that is it's just faster, maybe in between like a little valley, in between some hills. Just an easier path of travel for the party.
Yep, that makes sense.
And I'm clicking the explore button.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. And I'm giving myself a bonus. And I'm clicking.
All right. You managed a success with your 13, again getting an 11. So the fatigue sets in. However, Alfred, surprisingly, somewhat undeterred by the weather due to his waterproof coat, is able to function as a very good scout. He leads you along the long journey along the Weather Hills with great skill, and he's actually able to find you several narrow defiles that he takes you down to stay out of the weather and rain. Idraniel, she warns about the risk of the troll attacks, but the scout does his job and manages to find you several safe passages through several valleys, keeping you out of the rain mostly, and also on target and on task. All right. So the journey has ended as you guys have reached your destination. However, sort of. I'm stealing a little bit from the Moria rules here, which is this idea that this is a sort of a hidden valley. So you guys are actually going to sort of stay in travel mode until you can kind of find it. And so this is going to require a skill test of, I believe, scan to locate the hidden valley. If you fail this skill test, you guys will have to basically spend more time kind of looking around the area. So think of it this way: you're in the right hex. Now you got to find, the this hidden valley where the ancient Arnorian fortress is located. So if anybody wants to volunteer,
take a look. We got good scan.
Okay.
I would ask Otar. You did say I was your fellowship focus, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to help me, sir?
It kind of depends. Are we like in journey mode, so we have to roll like events and stuff, or is it just scan?
No. Well, you're still in the journey, technically, because the fatigue hasn't calculated yet. If you fail this scan test, it will result in another event.
Can I aid and be a hunter?
Oh, you can help anyways.
Okay.
You can always help. Anyone can always help, as long as you could theoretically help. Yes, also. Now, because this is particularly difficult to find, and because of the driving weather, I should tell you, I'm going to be giving you 2 penalty dice. So This is a very the bad weather and the hidden nature of this valley is going to make this particularly treacherous. So I am giving you 2 penalty dice for this.
Yeah. So Otto will help. He will keep an eye on his raven and see if the raven kind of give him any clues where this hidden valley can be, and try to direct my good friend the dwarf.
Okay. So spend a point of hope, Otar, and so Otar, your fellowship focus is
Gorm.
Grom. Okay, so Grom, you're going to get 2 bonus dice from
Grom.
that.
Grom.
Grom. Yeah, so you're going to get 2 bonus dice from that help.
And then 2 penalty dice.
Yep.
And then, you know what? I've been so proud and so thankful of my team helping me get this far that I am going to spend a hope as well.
Okay.
Oh, now, I didn't even mean to do this, but I do have proud, and I just said that.
Fair enough.
Okay. I wasn't even trying to metagame, and I did it anyways.
Well, so I'll say this. Does being proud make you easier for you to find a hidden valley?
Maybe not.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'll say. So.
That's fine. So I got 1 from hope and then 2 from support, and then -2 from
you got it
difficulty.
Oh, but a good
Me
roll.
being tall though.
Oh baby.
All right, great, awesome. By the way, to be like using the Moria rules, there are some locations in Moria that you can only find with a great success. Or with an extraordinary success, and there's even locations that you can only find with a magical success. so like you would literally need like an elf or a magic item to be able to find them. All right, so after arriving, you very quickly, Grom, with the aid of your party and Otar's raven, are able to scan through the defiles, and finally, after just a few hours of searching in this area, in this region, with Alfred sort of pulling out some copied notes, you see the shape of a rock in the shape of a rook or some sort of bird of prey. That sort of, it's kind of a roughly bird-shaped rook. Morglin being an ancient Sindarin word for raven. And you realize that you've kind of found the veil. And as you approach it, you can see that there is sort of an ancient narrow track, maybe once a road, but now sort of more of like a game path. But it definitely looks like it has seen some passage and trails and usage. It leads down into a steep defile, and then you see just a few signs of broken ancient stonework, showing the signs that once, of the presence of a Numenorian influence or element here. So your travel has been successful. Your journey has been successful. You have reached the Vale of Morglin. So now we do the cost of your journey to leave the journey phase. All right, so everyone gained 2 fatigue. So very well done. You guys rolled very well. You crushed both of your explorer rolls, or both of your travel rolls to get here. You traveled an incredible amount of time, especially on that last day. And you also rolled really well, so you only got 1 fatigue twice. So you only got 2 fatigue each, which means that Grom's fatigue goes to 0 because of Ironhoof. Otar's fatigue goes to 0 because of Cobb. Alfred and Isengard, your fatigue goes down to 1 because of Barleycorn and Reuben. And Adrenial, your fatigue stays at 2. So Grom and Otar, you do not have to make a travel roll because your fatigue is at 0. Alfred and Isengard and Idriniel, you each have to make a travel roll to represent you weathering the burden and the fatigue of this long 2-week journey through driving rains on the eastern slopes of the Weathered Hills. The travel roll, if you get a success, will reduce the fatigue you gain by 1. For each additional 6 that you roll, you will reduce it further by 1. So there may be some helping here. There may be some hope expenditures. There may be some useful items. So take a moment to sort of describe it and then make your roll, and then we'll wrap up this journey.
All right. So, Wayward Alfred, wanderer by trade, like I keep saying, he has an ancient staff that he always travels with. It's just useful. when you're out on the road, moving stuff out of the way, when, traversing, maybe leading the horse through some terrain, it helps him, especially at his frail old age, to kind of maneuver around all sorts of things. Is this something where sickened might apply?
I think so. Oh yeah,
I think so. I think so too.
Can I help Alfred?
Yes, if you describe how you're helping them, and feel free to do so.
With a nice little, maybe jaunty little tune, song about wandering Alfred.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you keep his body up and his spirits up, which helps him maintain the fatigue. Okay, yeah, great. So you spend a hope, Isengard, and that will give 1 dice or 2 dice.
2 dice. I'm his.
2 because he's my favorite.
Oh, he's your favorite. Okay.
And should I add the song to the song thing? Is there a song item that we're supposed to be creating?
No, you do that. You actually have to decide to take that action in the fellowship phase and create a song. Bonuses if it actually references something that actually happened during your session or your adventure. Double bonuses if you actually write the song and perform it.
Oh, mate. Done. I'll put that in the notes for the fellowship phase. I've got a song for Wandering Alfred.
So I think I probably will spend hope on this. I think as Alfred is approaching, just like being exploring and traveling with the old gang again, I think it's actually kind of is lighting a fire in his old manness a little bit. Maybe
he's got that old man strength.
Yeah, exactly. More purposeful of an adventure than kind of wandering around and like writing notes and stuff.
Yeah.
I think so. He is patient by nature, and I think just with the way, he's an old man out in the elements, and I think a typical maybe older gentleman would get maybe cranky in this type of situation. But I think he is enheartened by his allies and the fact that maybe he can turn the shadow a little bit away from all of the living folk of Middle Earth.
All right.
So I'm clicking buttons.
You're clicking buttons.
And I'm sickened, so -1.
No. You are sickened, and I am tagging your flaw. So that means you are ill-favored.
Ill-favored, okay.
So that means you're going to roll with disadvantage.
But I am... Okay. Is that a thing I can... Can I click it, or do you click it?
No, you can definitely click it.
Oh, worst. Okay, gotcha.
Oh, it doesn't say ill-favored? Weird.
No. It says favorite, ill-favored, and it says feat dice. I was just confused. Okay. Clicking. Nice.
All right. That was much bigger than I thought it was going to be. All right. Well, you crushed it, obviously. And so you don't have to worry about that. So you weather the storm and the journey quite well, and you suffer no fatigue. All right. Next is whoever's next, Driniel or Isengard?
Is this role prompt in the company tab or on my character sheet?
I have honestly no idea.
But you can do your character sheet just doing a travel roll.
You can just do a travel roll from your character sheet.
Sure. Okay, this is my first roll, so give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, that's quite all right.
Yeah, it gives you a pop-up window where you can like add all the stuff if there is any.
Sounds great. I think the Draniel's been playing the role of lookout, and she's also the only one who's unmounted. So I imagine she be taking like a perimeter path, maybe through the parts that the ponies can't navigate as well. So you guys just like occasionally see her like on the top of a rock or through the trees, and it almost seems like she gets from one of these places to the other with it an uncanny speed. So I'm gonna try and just roll it. I don't have anything to call upon, so I'll just click the roll button. I'm assuming.
Well, a couple of things. So before you do that, so you're making a travel roll straight up. You could spend a hope, right, to give yourself a bonus dice. You could also spend a hope to automatically get a Gandalf rune and get a magical success and automatically pass this because you're an elf. And
I stand to lose endurance.
Yeah, right now you'll be gaining 2 fatigue, which is like a permanent loss basically until you get back to town of your endurance. It's sort of.
And fatigue
it
adds to
increases your
load,
load.
which then
fatigue
can
adds
get
to
you to
load,
become
which will make you weary sooner than later. Just be aware that if while you were looking out and traveling, you were relying on your elven vigor to keep you going through that, calling upon your magical elfness would tick the eye awareness by 1. But again, It's not a huge deal. But you can basically. By the way, you don't just succeed. It's a Gandalf rune, so it's like it's not only is it success, but because you're using magic, it's a magic success. You literally could have been like, yeah, I don't walk on rivers, or it's like it's you're it's like when Legolas is like walking on the snow,
leaves no footprints.
Yeah, you leave no footprints. It's quite literally magical in a Tolkien sense.
I don't feel the need to do that. I think it's too early in the journey to do anything but trudge on.
Okay. All right, and trudge on you do with 13, and it is a failure. So you are going to gain 2 points of fatigue, Adrenial.
Okay, is that on my character sheet?
Yeah,
it is.
It's under resources, underneath your load. You got the little fatigue space.
Under load, there we are.
Yeah. So basically, it kind of counts as load you can't get rid of until you get like proper fellowship, like days, if not weeks of rests. So that will just keep burning up as the game goes. So now, Adrenial, if your endurance gets down to now 15, you will become weary, and when you're weary,
the rain has taken a toll on her mood. She's a bit reserved in her work.
And last but not least, Isengard.
Through this one, actually, Derek. Isengard is eager as a beaver. Distinctive feature: he's filled with excitement and impatience when an endeavor piques his interest. Does that count in this area in terms of this is a Bilbo adventure? Like hell yeah! I'm gonna get all sorts of cool shit from this, and I'll be recognized like Bilbo is because of killing trolls and finding treasure. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Especially because it's the beginning of the adventure.
Or tagging a trait does. Is it?
Yeah. So if you spend a hope, you're inspired, so you get 2 bonus d6s instead of 1.
Ute. Then I will do the spending of a hope. So I'm going to be rolling, I think 2 because my travel is garbage.
Yeah, and there's specific buttons for all of this stuff in though.
Alrighty. Well, it's a good thing that Barleycorn is there. So, unfortunately, as eager as a beaver as you are, the short legs of hobbits do not carry them well.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 weeks of journeying is quite a bit of it's a long stretch for a hobbit. It's a longer walk for a hobbit.
Technically, it's only 7 days. It was 9 days total minus 2 for the shortcuts.
That's true. So you get a point of fatigue.
Love it.
Okay. All right. So after locating the veil, hopefully you guys can see that tile. So you guys are kind of at the entrance to this sort of hidden valley below, where through the rain and the clouds and the fog, you can see that a narrow mountainous river stream flooded from the recent rains floods through the small valley, pooling in a large lake, and that there are sort of 2 ancient crumbling stone fortresses abutting either side of the valley floor. However, as you're sort of taking this in and sort of deciding what your next move is going to be, Adrenial, being the lookout from the journey, it's like that scene from Fellowship of the Ring where the Fellowship gets surprised by elves, but Legolas already has a bow up, so no one else even understands what's going on. But Adrenial is like already up with a spear. As quiet and as sudden as they would have appeared, a trio of elves stands on a nearby rocky outcrop, looking sort of down at your group. A quick look at them reveals them to be... I'm going to drag this in. Can I do this? No? Yes? There we go. Perfect. Oh, man, it's so massive. How do I change this? Oh, I can... Never, wait. No. It's going to be massive. It's fine. No? I don't know how to use Foundry. I never use tiles. Tiles don't do anything for me. How do you sort this? Foundry, get your shit together. Sometimes I'm like, they're so worried about making like particle effects, they don't make anything actually work. It's crazy. Okay. They're like, no, you need more particle effects. It's like, no, I just need assets that work and usable functions. Anyways, all right. A trio of elves, dark-haired, wearing not particularly well armored, but wearing mud-stained clothes, appears at a nearby rocky outcropping. Spears and swords are loosely held, and they look down at you with a focused gaze. And they speak in Sindarin, and they say, what is an elf of Linden doing with a man, a dwarf, and a hobbit here, east of the Weather Hills?
I say, Suliad, friends. I am Edraniel Duncuren, and me and my companions travel this way in search of a destroyed human fortress, rumored to be in the area, and perhaps recently inhabited by trolls.
How does an elf of Linden find themselves east of the arid Luin, the Blue Mountains?
By way of my feet.
You speak in riddles, cousin. Still.
You speak with want for courtesy, cousin.
And yet you are the stranger here, entering into our lands. They kind of look amongst each other for a moment, and they say, your group must come with us. We must take you to our captain. Will you accompany us, basically? Yeah, will you accompany us?
I imagine, like, as I was doing the lookout, I was slightly removed from the party, and I said,
yeah,
I'll have to inform them. So then I'll walk over to the group and share what has been asked of us.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
I don't have any reason to not trust them. I think I leave it. They are your cousins. I trust your judgment, I think.
I see no reason why they would harm us, but whether or not we trust them matters little. These seem to be their lands, and in their lands we would stand no hope escaping.
Accurate.
Seems reasonable. I am interested to see what they are doing here anyway.
All right, the elves come over, and as you get kind of a better sense of them, you definitely get the sense that they are Noldoran, which is to say that they are high elves. Okay, so these are elves of a more ancient and powerful lineage than kind of the default elf of Middle Earth, and spoiler, Tolkien nerd alert. So the Noldor are one of the tribes of elves that actually left Middle Earth and went to Valinor and learned from the Valar themselves and like became highly skilled and highly trained. But due to some shenanigans involving the Silmarils, they actually left. A lot of them basically left Paradise to go make war upon the Dark Lord in Middle Earth. And for that reason, the Valar banned them from returning with some exceptions. And so in some ways that they have basically literally been supercharged by gods. Now granted, some of them may not have actually literally been in Valinor, but genetics and lineage, and so even if you're from that thing, so they're kind of a higher kin, which is why they're called high elves, basically. Further note, Celebrimbor, who forged the Rings of Power, he was a Noldor elf. So the elves kind of appear again, and they say, "Will there be problems, or will you accompany us to our camp?" Again,
there are no problems. There are no problems, Kin. We'll happily join you.
Very well. This way. So they lead you through a narrow defile and down to a rocky glen, and then you come across a small camp that you would otherwise probably have completely missed. These elves are living more like rangers of the north. They kind of have a very primitive and basic camp made of simple cloth tents and tarps covering the area and staying out of the rain. As they enter, an imposing and charismatic individual, probably represented by maybe the person here in the middle, comes forward. He has a small circlet about his brow, and he speaks forward and in the high language of the elves, Quenya, says a very formal greeting to you, Idraniel, basically saying, greetings, honored guest. I apologize for the actions of my lieutenants. They are mistrusting of strangers. It is not often that we see an elf that is not known to us in these lands. Your people mostly stick to the western side, to Farlinden and Harlinden, or by now have taken the ships back to the Blessed Realm. They have told me they mentioned slightly what you have told them, but I would ask you, what are you doing here? What is your purpose? Why do you travel with men and dwarves?
Adraniel will pull down her hood, and then after I say what I'll say, I'd like to potentially try off.
Okay, yeah.
And
we don't understand anything of this, correct?
Not yet.
Or I do.
Yet. Well,
I don't.
No one does. But maybe you can speak in Western. You can speak in the common tongue. Like if you want to kind of indicate that you're kind of bringing them in or whatever like that, that's fine.
I am here at behest of the Grey Pilgrim, and as he is my friend, he so too is the friend of my companions. He has asked us to investigate what he deems to be a threat of shadow in this region. Have you noticed anything of that kind? And then I'd like to make the awe check to try and increase their demeanor.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll invoke my fair trait, which is just our beauty. So even though I'm of a lower bloodline, I like to think that maybe there's a hint of like
you're still hot. I got it.
Bone structure. All right. So now what do I do here? I hit awe.
Yep. Yeah. So you hit awe, and if you want to, you can spend a hope to add a dice. But because you're using one of your distinctive traits, you actually add 2 dice instead.
Okay. Yeah, when you click on the hope thing, it'll pop up with inspired next to it, and you can click on that to add it.
Inspired, gotcha.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a penalty die because these elves are a little wary and they're a little suspicious. So in this case, their traits are actually kind of giving you a penalty.
Sure. That seems fair.
But again, any of your allies could also help you if they could help you with an awe roll. Remember, this is him sort of trying to bespoke his regal bearing. So if any of you think you could compete with the elf in bestowing regal bearing, I mean, maybe Otar. I don't know. I'm just saying he's got.
Yeah, I did say that maybe if you guys could make yourself look more impressive of humans or dwarves, maybe that could be an angle. You're not like rabble.
I think Alfred is probably the least impressive human that could possibly present it.
Or maybe the dwarf kind of gives that give me your name, horse master, I'll give you mine. Just like.
Or if you think your character might be unimpressive, help me with stealth right now and just lie low.
I think I would help, and I'd walk up and be like, "Do you not recognize the best eyes of these lands, Idraniel?"
All right, yeah. The Grom's got your back. Okay, go ahead.
Just comes up in another language. What? Yep. You don't know her?
All right, so Grom, spend a fellowship point or spend a hope point, and then Logan, you can add a bonus die for the.
So
fellowship.
That'll bring me to neutral in that regard, right? Because I lost one from their wariness, and I gained one from Grom.
Yep, and then you're spending your hope point to gain 2
Correct.
from your inspire, so you should be +2 about it. Yep, go for it.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, these favored rolls have really worked out for you because you guys have rolled a lot of Eye of Saurons, but it's always been on the favored rolls. All right, so you got a regular success, and so the leader bows low and he says, "My humblest apologies, my lady. My name is Caladwin, and I am the captain here of this group of the Din Gwanur. We are the Silent Keepers, protectors of the lores and relics of our people, to keep them out of the hands of the enemies of the elves and of the shadow. We are descendants of that great land of Eregion and of the Gwaith y Myrdain, the master artisans of Est en Ithil. Your presence here is a bit alarming to us, because we too have interest in the runes. We believe that a great elven relic is being kept there. I'm afraid that we cannot let you enter."
What relic is so sacred that you wouldn't want us anywhere near it?
That is for me and my peoples to worry about.
I keep an eye on the dwarf and it like chill. No running around.
So yeah, and they're speaking in they're now speaking in common. They say, "We respect that your journey has brought you here, but rest assured that the Din Gwanur have this well under control, and there is no need for the assistance of dwarves and men."
Have you encountered the trolls?
The trolls are a threat, but one that we are equipped to deal with.
I looked at my companions. Inform them of everything that was said outside of Western Common.
Can Isengard sort of butt in?
They're kind of like, "Oh shit, we didn't even know." You know, like it was,
Yeah.
it's a hobbit.
And basically, my thing is sort of interrupting this. Isengard has a history with Gandalf when help was rejected in the past.
Yeah.
It didn't end well. Yeah. So he'd like to sort of be a little bit.
Yeah, because remember, Gandalf wants you guys. He's got his own. Gandalf seemed to be like, "I want you guys to get these magic items." He seemed to kind of have like another goal, right? A mission, kind of a plan within a plan, and you trust Gandalf, right? So that you kind of do feel a certain pressure. Like Gandalf kind of make it seem like it was important that we get this stuff.
Yeah, and that's going to be his angle. Is like, we're here on sort of requests and orders of a higher authority than you. What's deeply discourteous? One, like, this is a free country, motherfucker. We can do whatever we like. Two, what kind of idiot throws away aid given by Gandalf in the face of agents of the shadow, and kind of just positioning it in this kind of slightly outraged at their rudeness and their foolish pride, I suppose.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to back into a council. So we are going to do a council. So a couple of things. So Idraniel's awe roll is actually going to be your introduction roll. And so we're going to kind of back into this. And then we're going to get to Isengard saying what he's saying. So a council. A council is more of a sort of a formal meeting, right? You guys have been brought to their leaders. Bring me to your leader. And so this is going to be a formal gathering in which the stakes are high and the company stands to win or lose something valuable. So the first thing that you have to decide is I'm going to set what's called the resistance. This is how hard is what you're asking for. And so to understand that, you should all agree on what you hope to achieve from this meeting and how you hope to achieve it, or how you might achieve it. So what are you asking for? What are you trying to get out of them? Obviously, they've stated their stake, right? They want you to turn around and go home. So what do you want from them? You tell me, and then I will interpret that into a resistance rating, which will indicate how difficult this council will be for you and your group. And you could discuss that out of character, obviously.
All right. So we want Inzies, and we want to, I guess, the carrot we offer them is that we will deal with the troll situation, or at least discover more about it. I don't know how much we have to let on that we want their cookies, but we want cookies and we want to help with trolls. I mean, that's what Gandalf told us to do, so that's what we want, right?
Yeah.
I think we should not offer to help them with trolls, because I don't think we should try and fight trolls. Probably.
Yeah, the elves don't even seem particularly they don't seem particularly worried about the trolls. Now, again, not that elves are dicks, but elves are kind of dicks, right? Like the trolls are a problem, just not to elves. You know what I mean? Like, like they're like, oh yeah, what are they doing? Killing dwarves and raiding humans? Anyway,
what do you guys say about we ask for adventure unimpeded? So like a freedom of movement, they won't harry us. And in return, we give them elven relics we find. And this is a human fortress, so
it is a human fortress.
It would stand to.
Right. Yeah. So Gandalf just wants us maybe to get the Arnorian relics.
Right. They seem to be indicating they said this is an Arnorian restaurant, but they said we too have an interest in it because we believe that an ancient elven relic is being kept there. Right. So yes. So that is a nice pickup.
But there's an ancient elf relic here.
You don't have the dragon sickness yet.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry.
You're like, just can I just misdeed straight into my dream?
Look, it's still tempting, all right? Like I gotta stop and think about it for a second.
Listen, okay. I respect it. That's why it's a role playing game. I respect it. Also,
and then I would like the idea.
I'm sure it's powerful and cool.
Yeah, true. It would be interesting where if we did go with something like this, and then we hit the trove. If we generated on an Eye of Sauron, someone was greedy for an elven relic. Like anytime we rolled a Sauron here, it becomes an elven relic.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that idea. I might totally steal that.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Basically, like, we're here for a job. Someone more important than you. You can do your own thing. We're going to do our own thing. And if we stumble across it, we'll let you know about it.
Right.
And these people are obviously an extremely powerful ally versus the Shadow. To do anything but try and befriend them seems foolish.
So what exists? So I know what you're asking. What are you offering? In a general sense.
We will
information
bring you all
on the other relics, or if they're carryable, we're happy to bring them if we tell them if we find them.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
When you suggest that, at first you Grom looks at you for a second, and then he's like, and you see his shoulders kind of dip, and he's like, very well.
And Idraniel notices that slight, and she looks at her lip curls in a little bit of disgust.
All right. Note chat. A little bit of tension in the fellowship there. Just saying. Just note it. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. So I, obviously asking these elves this, I think, is a pretty bold request, which would normally set a resistance of 6. An extremely reasonable request is 3. So I'm going to set it at 6, but I'm going to subtract 1 from it. So I'm going to actually, because of the idea of but we'll give you the elven relics that we find. So I'm actually going to make it a 5. So that's going to be a 5 resistance clock. Now, difficulty. Because where is it? Where is it? No. Where is it? Get it. Where is that stupid thing? Did I install it? Loading, please wait. Challenge tracker. It is installed. Okay. Where is it located?
Main downside to having Gandalf as our patron is that finding the patron stuff using Control F Gandalf in the rulebook is impossible to do. His name's in there. Is in there a lot. Spoiler alert.
Right.
Does he have a special rule attached to his patron that you could look for? Like by name?
We can use Fellowship Point to get rid of Shadow, I think.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up the chart.
I don't
Searching
know.
for Gandalf was the literal worst way for me to do that. So.
Oh, okay, here we go. Toke. Oh, that's a weird place for it. Never mind. Oh, okay. Really? Where the fuck? How do you do that? Sorry, that's a really weird setting on this stupid module. But requires a reload. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna put it in token controls. All right, it's gonna reload. Sorry, guys. Or maybe not. All right, what is happening here? Save changes.
So the awe check from Logan will decide how many turns we have before to get 35 successes.
Yeah, so he already succeeded at that, right? So that's what I'm saying here. So this is going to be the council of the Morglin Vale. All right. Show to others. Check. Okay, and then it's going to be 5 segments, and it's going to be so because you succeeded at your awe check, you're going to get 4 checks to do this. Okay. Edit 5, 4.
4 checks for 5 ticks. How do we make that work?
Aha! Great question.
More sixes.
Yep.
Yeah.
More successes, more ticks. So we've got 4 chances to get 5 successes.
Correct.
All right, I'll go last and be prepared to dump my hope.
Well, the thing is, it's not initiative order, so you guys can just go in. In fact, theoretically, you could have the same person go 25 times in a row. Now, the difference is that obviously, if can you guys see this, by the way?
Nope.
Okay. Show to others. Boop, there we go.
Oh
yeah.
There we go.
Okay, cool. So if you guys obviously, if the same person keeps going, they might get tired of you, sick of you. It could start to give you penalty dice if I'm getting bored with what you're telling me, if you're just repeating the same thing. So sometimes it can benefit you to use other people. It can also benefit you to try different tacks. Different skills might impress them differently depending on how they're reacting and responding to you. Like if you just, like I'm going to just keep spamming awe, right? That might only get you so far. So there is some kind of, strategy to it as well as also just feeling the sort of, the vibe of the council. But basically it's just a conversation. You guys will chime in. It's like the Council of Elrond. And occasionally when you say something important or dramatic, you'll make it could be an enhearten check, an insight check, a persuade check, a riddle check, a song. It could be courtesy, awe, anything. You can also, now the checks in the middle, this is how many checks you get. These are only specifically to advance the plot, to advance the thing. You can make other checks that are sort of secondary that don't count as one of those main checks, if that makes sense. Maybe like gaining information or insight, right? That's not, trying to convince them. It's more of like reading the spot. Or maybe there's somebody who really doesn't like you and you try to get them to warm up to you, or you're trying to, you know what I mean? There's a couple different angles that you could shoot from. So, so you've got, a group of these sort of Din Gwaneer in the glade. One of them, their leader, Caladwyn, is kind of before them. And then there's we'll just say the 2 lieutenants that we can see here in the art. They're sort of the dark-haired male, and he seems a little bit, and he when you said, the Great Pilgrim has sent us, he's kind of like, oh. And then there's the woman who seems to have a little bit more of an attitude and seems a little bit more untrusting. Particularly suspicious, it seems, more of the men and the dwarves, than necessarily the company, but specifically those races. So, anyways, Idrinial comes forward and sort of basically announces her presence, who she is, what she was sent for, kind of drawing upon this awe and majesty and authority, being sent here by Mithrandir. And the elves sort of respect it, and Caladwin kind of comes forward, and then Isengard, as you were saying.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be a persuade. And also now with the context of like the council, I wonder if there's like there's deeply discourteous behavior, not what we would expect from elves. We're sent here by Gandalf, someone wiser and smarter than anyone here to help and investigate these areas.
Yes.
We figure any help is good help. You let us know what this relic is, and we'll let you know about it if we find it.
Okay. Is that more? Okay. Yeah, I'll say that's. I think that's.
I'm torn between courtesy or persuade. I was thinking courtesy, like behave, but I think it's more persuade.
I could see it being either, right? Yeah. I would say this: courtesy is part of the customs skill line, and so courtesy is more like showing that deference to their culture. Etiquette. Yeah, etiquette. Exactly. Right. Exactly. A little bit more formal, maybe even. Right. Yeah. It does sound like you're trying to be like a little bit like, hey, you scratch your back, you scratch ours. Times are tough. Gandalf. Did I mention Gandalf? Gandalf.
Yeah. Plus, Isengard likely just doesn't have. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't picture him to have like courtroom diction. He's like a man of the people, and no matter like.
I got 2 courtesy. Thank you very much.
Oh, all right. But in what realm?
Right. Exactly. You're not very familiar with the courtesy practices of the Dinguinir. And actually,
he's definitely more courteous than I.
Oh, if Grom tried to make a courtesy check, I would probably give him 2 penalty dice because he'd be like, "All right,
get out the way. I'm going in."
All right. So Isengard, let us ski that persuade roll. And of course, obviously, if you have hope to spend or allies who can help you, hope to all that stuff.
So I feel like Alfred would definitely, hearing his compatriots basically perspective and tact towards how he's asking these elves. Wayward Alfred being having knowledge of the elf people. Via lore and courtesy. I mean, he's kind of been around, talked to everybody. Maybe like he tries to redirect / redefine Isengard's like the path that you're taking in the conversation to maybe lean a couple ticks a little more respectful,
right?
Because
it's like he's like so we demand humbly request
yeah, exactly,
that you immediately at your soonest possible convenience right
he would put his arm around him and
right keep in mind,
bow gently.
You don't have to try that hard to convince me that you're helping. Like, okay. If you're making the main skill check, I want to hear your pitch. But if you're just helping, you're good to do that. So
I'm spending a hope to and fellowship focus help, my buddy.
Got it. All right.
And I will also be spending some hope.
Okay.
I don't know if I've got anything to tag here. I was initially thinking inquisitive, sticking his nose in where it doesn't belong.
I think that might hurt you a little bit.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
All right.
There's not much in the way of inquisitiveness yet.
To be clear, you can still spend a hope and give no role-playing explanation whatsoever, except to say, I hope I roll well.
Yeah. All right, sweet as. Let's do Heart of the Cards.
Come on, big money. Ugh.
All right. Well, you got a success, which is good, but it did use up one of your attempts. So Isengard and Alfred kind of come forward, and Isengard basically lays it out and says, look, we'll do you this solid. We need to get in there, but we respect, your elven relics and, the things of that nature. And the sort of untrusting female doesn't seem to quite know what to make of the Hobbit. But she basically says, and in Sindarin, almost out of disrespect, and so obviously you understand it, Adrenial basically says, we can never we are supposed to trust a dwarf and a human with our relics? We're going to let them go in there? What if they lie? What if they hide? What if they abscond with our precious, materials? I'm sorry, Idriniel of Linden. You have poor choice for companions. So the leader seems to sort of understand that you guys are trying to make a peace here, but she seems to be particularly problematic and is definitely in his ear.
Kill her. No.
I make a.
I'm making an axis roll.
Can I make an axis roll?
But I think Otto will try to kind of calm the situation a little bit, and he will get off his horse and make it very obvious that he's from Dale. I think elves and people from Dale kind of have had relations, and
yeah,
I don't know how far the stories have traveled, but we have made deals before with elves.
Yes.
Maybe reference the 5 armies.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay,
I can do that. And I think I aim for Enharten.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. All right, so I'm going to give you kind of a choice here, goblins and androids. Right now, I'm going to say that as a whole, they are reluctant. So that's going to give you a penalty die to attempts to sort of persuade them, right? To actually, tick this green clock. But if you want, you can make a check which won't count against the center check, which is just going to be trying to sort of get them to warm up to you a little bit more and to sort of change that reluctant to possibly open or even friendly, which will kind of be more like getting rid of a debuff and giving a buff in the future. So it's up to you how you want to structure that. Just realize, though, that if you fail, right, that check, it could go south.
Yeah. No, I will try to debuff or buff.
Give her -1 racism towards men.
Right. She has yes, correct. It's I remember it was like a joke, but like we were playing old school D&D, like, and then Bob, we were playing, and Bob's like, he's like, man, why? We're playing with Smith and stuff. And Bob's like, man, like my dwarf gets a bonus to attack goblins and orcs and giants. And then he's like, why? And Smith goes, racism, dude. I don't know. They just hate each other. I don't know what to do. All right, so goblins and androids. Tell me what you're doing. You're making the Enharten roll. You're bringing up the recent struggles of your people and the elves and the Battle of 5 Armies. I think that's a great angle. So I'm going to give you a bonus die for that. That's
nice.
That's a great tactic. Then, of course, obviously, any help or hope.
I'm also a generous man, so maybe I will share some. I have some trinkets and stuff. It's more for persuasion, but I will kind of offer some food or
Oh, you're a barding.
Break the ice. Yeah.
You're barding. You're rolling with money. The rest of these peasants could never. You're just like, oh, hey, like, have you ever wanted to see this? Yeah, okay, I like it. Yeah. You're very like a magnanimous person. Like you're not. You're kind of trying to set this tone of that. So go for it. So if you succeed, they will go from being reluctant to open. If you get to great success, they will actually become friendly.
Nice. So 1 bonus and inspired.
Yep, inspired and spend the hope. Yep.
How do I help you?
That's a great question. How do you help?
I mean, what's the mechanic?
Oh, you just spend a hope, and then he adds a bonus die. Or 2 if you're his fellowship focus. I don't know who your fellowship focus is.
I think Adranil has been pretty open to the idea of Utar having a leadership role. Maybe she senses it in him somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think she will like look to him while he's speaking and like let her let the fact that she's doing that be loud.
Yeah, like a demeanor, the body language kind of shows deference. Like you're like, this is
exactly.
This is a potential leader of men, and I'm respecting that authority, Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So go ahead and spend a help. Is Otar your fellowship focus, Adrenial?
No, I don't have one.
Okay, so then
I don't like these people.
Yeah, no, I got it. Hey, no, fellowship focus isn't for free. You can acquire shadow points when your fellowship.
What do you mean I'm not your fellowship focus?
So you're gonna get 1 bonus helping die then, Otar.
I'm ready. So here we go.
Here we go. Oh! He got the great success. Santa 29. Masterful class. All right, so at Otar's warming words and seeing the elf's respect for him, now the girl, she's still not convinced, but you can kind of see that the rest of them are sort of warming up to him, his magnanimous nature. They're enheartened by the stories of the five armies. They've heard about the battle that occurred, just the other day, aka like 15 years ago or something like that. But they haven't heard of it much yet. And they seem to be more okay with the barding than they are with, like, say, the Man of Bree or the thing, because they understand that they are like from a more noble-esque stock, and they seem to have like more, like, yes, they have shown their worth, they have proven their mettle. And so as a whole, the council shifts to friendly. So you guys will now get a permanent +1 die to all of your attempts to influence and guide the council.
I want to point something out.
Yeah.
There are some systems like Mouse Guard where you hand them a die and like it can be a different color, so you know who, or like Smith, I think you've said used to do this with like his bless.
His bless dice, yes.
If you look at the rolls that Utar rolled, it was his final dice that got the 6. So that was my help die.
For a second there, when I was looking at it, I was like, I thought he rolled a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
He did, just not in that specific straight order, but he did roll 1, 2, 3. You got a large straight. That's a good score in Yahtzee. Okay, so Otar, you could see the sort of the mood of the council change a little bit. In fact, the woman, the female elf, she seems a little bit rebuffed and kind of like throws, her arms in frustration, crosses her arms, and sort of walks away a little bit from the council. As the leader, what did I put it? What did I name him? Kaldwin sort of leans forward and says, "We hear your words, Otar, son of Ragnar, and I hearken to them. It is true that your people have a noble history, and you have proven yourselves valorous allies. We will continue to listen to your words, but still, you must understand our concerns. These are not mere trinkets. If it were but golds and jewels, I would have no concern. But magic is not to be, and the potent relics of even of your people, is something that time and time has proven again, are ill-equipped to be in the hands of men." And you can kind of see his eyes kind of like thinking back, and you can kind of get this sense where he's thinking of like, remember what happened last time the elves gave men magic items? Okay, it kind of fucking turned into a ring race. Okay, so like we don't trust you guys, but like I hear you, but I'm still a little worried. I'm still a little nervous.
Noticing the direction of the conversation kind of escalating and a path we might not want it to go, Adrenia will make a show of like shivering in her wet clothing, and then she beseeches the king or
captain
if she could get out of these rain-drenched clothes, and if they had any different attire for her to dry off in. And then maybe, like, what I'd like to do is I will not be able to participate or help in the next check, but then I want to change my useful item from my dark adventuring gear to like stately garb.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. That makes sense. Yes, and they say, of course. In fact, you kind of see there's, I don't know how to describe this. It's kind of like an awkward moment where like he says, of course, and lets you kind of thing, and as you start to kind of move over and start to take your thing off, as they sort of take you to a private tent, they kind of notice that like you don't have a hand. And it kind of creates like a weird vibe amongst the elves for a minute. They're like not really sure how to handle that. But you go into the tent to change, and you're gonna kind of put on a less travel appropriate, more like I am your Lord and Master type attire. So while Adrenial is getting changed,
I think picking up on that vibe about essentially sacrifice, right? Alfred would, he's a frail, although he's wearing his stuff, but he's a frail man. They could see that he's
wearing full armor.
yeah. He's a Bree man, so he's pretty low on the totem pole as far as
Sure.
Goes. I think he would, kind of, and this can be like in heart and courtesy, persuade, whatever. Play to the fact that this party, like the shadow consumes all of us. It knows no boundaries, right?
Yeah.
You have command over this glade, and that is excellent. But the shadow, it matters not to it. And I think just he's just trying to impress upon them that while the customs and courtesy and etiquette of the world is a very present thing that he's very aware of, when it comes to dealing with the shadow, it is not as important that we should all be coming together, that this this fellowship we've sacrificed in our fight against the shadow.
Yeah, I think that's definitely persuade.
Okay.
I would like to help.
Yep.
And I would like to start like humming a song in the background to kind of like pump him up. And I'm also kind of setting up to do like maybe a song roll next.
Okay.
But so I'll spend the hope to help him on that.
Yes. Also remember too that Tolkien, music and stuff like that, like it's very like formal. It's almost like of sort of Arthurian or like Beowulf or like Nordic myth, right? Where it's like this kind of like I will speak to you of the song of Beren, the lay of Beren and Luthien. Remember well the message between man and elf. It's a much more. It's not literally like, and everyone's like, oh, this is so fun, we're having fun. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more, has a little bit more gravitas to it than that. So
maybe all that glitters is not gold.
Yeah, right.
Like jumping in, giving this impassioned speech.
Right. Okay.
And then Alfred does have it as a distinctive feature, fair spoken. So I think he's just kind of used to speaking in a way that is not, not aggressive, soft and kind. So I'm going to spend a hope point as well. And then we get a bonus die because
you get a bonus die because they're now friendly. Yep.
Clicking the button now.
Oh,
Hell
okay.
Yeah.
So you guys get an automatic success because of a Gandalf rune, and you roll a 22, and you get a great success.
Nice.
So that's going to count as an extra success in the council. So that's a big. Obviously, you need to get at least one of those in order to be able to get 5 and 4. You can't just succeed. At the words of Alfred, not concerning the affairs of men and elves and dwarves, but of the threat and the growing threat of the shadow, there seems to be sort of a reminder to the elves that there is more at stake here than pride and lineage, and that you have already mentioned that you are servants of Gandalf, who the elves call Mithrandir. By the way, myth means gray in Sindarin. Mithril literally means gray silver or gray metal. So myth means gray. Mithlond is the Grey Havens. So Mithrandir literally means Grey Pilgrim. Anyways, and so the reminder that you may not just be here for greed, right? But you may be here at a greater purpose, and that there is maybe some element to your words that they should listen to. And they seem to be, warming up to your idea. And again, the leader of them, and in fact his lieutenant sort of speaks forward and says, "The words of Mithrandir are known amongst our people, and we have often listened to the Grey Wanderer. If it is as you say, the threat is growing. We ourselves have felt it in the air and smelt it in the forests and the earth. A darkness is returning to these lands. Hold. You must understand that for my people, this is the end of our age. It is difficult for us to acknowledge that others must carry the burden that we have so long held." And he kind of almost looks over at the tent where Adrenial went, and he says, "When the burdens become too great, our people leave these shores and head to the uttermost west. When the pain and the burden becomes too much, we leave, unless something truly, truly pressing holds us here." They seem to be kind of confused about why Adrenial hasn't gone west. like if she lost her hand or her arm, like after suffering like that, like why would you, keep on staying here and keeping biting on? All right. So I know Sinric, I know you wanted to make a check, and then we'll probably go over to Logan for his return, and then hopefully you guys will knock it out of the
park. So yeah, I think so. I started off with the humming, and then after that little part, I kind of break into song about the deeds of Adraniel and I facing off against the shadow, holding our ground when we shouldn't, and the history of Alfred being a great warrior and seeing much shadow, even though it affects him still, and the greatness of the Bardings. And then, I guess I'll mention Isagar being a bounder.
Right. No, I think that's cool. Like it's a story, it's a song that you are warriors. You may be old, you may be handicapped, but you have fought the shadow, and this is not a fight that you are afraid to take on. That you are stronger than you look. And I think that's awesome. So totally awesome. And that's totally appropriate. So go ahead and roll song. Get +1 die for them being friendly. And I'm going to give you a +1 die because that's a really cool way to sort of describe it and bring the whole group in and get them to trust you guys as a group. I think that's cool.
I'm gonna spend a hope as well.
Yeah.
Also,
I will help. I think this is a song me and the dwarf have kind of sung together.
Yeah.
Over a ale, maybe a little bit drunk.
Yeah.
All right. So then I'll get fellowship bonus help. Right. And then would proud work for this?
Would proud work?
Sing them of our deeds.
Yes, you're boasting of your accomplishments. You're doing it in song, but you're definitely proud of what you've accomplished. I think that's.
I think even and more so, it would be very intimidating to sing in front of a elven host. But
yes,
the ability for you to just belt, I think that would take pride for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you kidding me?
A 35 is the result.
8 dice and no 6s.
Welcome to Free League. All right, I've got 4 base dice. I've got 5 skill dice. I've got 4 gear dice. I've got 3 dice from my trait. All right, all I need is 1 6 in order to hit this guy. None.
At least I can't re-roll and then break myself from stress or something.
Correct. All right, so the dwarf and the mighty Northmen sing of your deeds, and the elves hearken to it. They stand respectfully, bowing their heads as you list your accomplishments. And you can see that you have actually warmed up these elves, that these elves are seeing that you are not just, mere human and dwarf trash, but you are... You are heroes and you are adventurers. You are mighty and you do have valor and wisdom, or at least valor. Maybe not wisdom, but you at least have valor and they respect that. All right. As the song nears its completion, Adraniel, you emerge, having changed out of your sopping wet gear into something a little bit more regal and bearing. You can see that the council is almost decided, but it seems like the leader, the captain, needs one more point of convincing to sort of send him over the edge and give you the permission that you seek.
Sure. As she rejoins the group, I think, what are the colors of house? Sorry, I wrote it down here. Din Gwenur.
Yeah. So they're not really a house. It's more of like a group of elves. These are sort of like, well, I guess a lore check, but would be required. But actually, you know what? Do you want to make a lore check? It won't count as anything, but just to see what you know about them. Yeah.
I'll just roll it raw.
Yeah. You might succeed. You never know. Hey. Yeah. Okay, cool. So the Din Gwenur are sort of an elven people in exile. If we look at our map here, you guys, so down here is Eregion. Okay, known in human tongue as Holland, all right? And here is Moria. Down the road from Moria is Ost and Ithil, which is basically Fortress of the Elves. This, right here, is where the Rings of Power were forged. Okay, this was the home of Celebrimbor this was the home of the Gwaith y Myrdain. If you've read the Silmarillion or you've watched the Rings of Power show, they all got killed and destroyed. So this realm was completely destroyed by Sauron in the battle, in the war of Sauron and the elves. This was during the Second Age. This group is basically sort of like the kind of way the Rangers are the descendants of the ancient Arnorian kings. These are sort of the descendants of the Gwaith y Myrdain. They are basically the descendants of Celebrimbor and the elven sort of weapon / magic item crafter masters that once lived in Eregion and Holland. And they have sort of made it their passion, their deal is to sort of catalog, collect, and protect the heirlooms of their people, of the elves, and specifically of the Gwaith y Myrdain. To that end, their symbols kind of echo that of Celebrimbor and the House of Feanor. And so the red and blue are kind of, silver and red. I think it's silver and red. I'm going to go with silver and red. I'll stick with that, or crimson. And of course, featuring the 8-pointed star, the sigil, which is sort of the house symbol of the House of Feanor. And you know this because if you look at the doors of Durin, okay, when Narvi carved them and Celebrimbor wrote them, he put the symbol of the House of Feanor on there. So,
gotcha.
All right. All right,
done?
Yes, I'm done. All right.
Okay.
You're the one that made the lore check, motherfucker.
No, I loved it.
Okay.
Pop off.
Lore
Look,
check.
I think he needed an extra success
Okay,
for that much
yeah.
lore.
Okay,
Like,
all right,
I think
you know what? You're right. So that's going to be the new rule. When you make a lore check, the level of success that you get is how much Derek will lore dump on you. So don't
Nice.
lore dump. Don't make a lore check unless you're ready to get lore dumped. All right. But basically, I gave you a free great success. All right, there you go. All right.
Perfect. Thank you. So she'll come out in the attire that's more akin to their styles and coloring. So hopefully that befriends her to them. But she also has the sleeve of which arm is severed, rolled up, and although it's usually wrapped in silk and bandage, she has it bare now. And then she kind of like puts it on display a little bit and says that her and the company she's with were selected by Gandalf because we were willing to make great sacrifices for the good of the free peoples. And that she hoped that the descendants of the great Noldoran elves that once left this land but came back to the free peoples would help them in their quest.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. +2 dice. That's awesome.
Nice.
That's great.
Hell yeah.
That's great. Yeah, like your
Let's
people
do
know
it
of
then.
sacrifice. Your people know what it means to sort of give up, and you're kind of answering their question. Like why, because when an elf bears that great of hurt, like, why wouldn't you take the ship? And you're basically saying, because I care, right? And because we have a bigger duty here. And if anybody understands that, it's you guys. And that's very powerful. So, yeah, totally.
Okay. What skill should that be?
Great
Awe,
question.
persuade?
I think it could be awe. I could see an argument being made for awe because it is kind of like, it's less of a point and more of like a, you're just dropping this massive like thing
Truth
on them
bomb.
and they're
Yeah.
truth bomb. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yes, but I think awe is appropriate. Yeah, let's do
Okay.
awe.
I'll do that then. I'll take 2 bonus dice.
Yes. And well, okay, so you get 2 bonus dice because of the circumstances. You get 1 bonus dice because they are now friendly towards you. So that should be 3 bonus dice.
Okay.
And then you can also spend hope and of course be helped.
I have to be careful with my hope,
Yes.
but what do you guys think?
I
I'm a
have
metagame.
Try boys get no toys.
I do not have awe
yeah.
skill.
Yeah. I will say you have one, this is your last attempt and you need 1 success. So, I mean, if you can roll as many dice as you can, it's probably to
Yeah, I
your
think
advantage.
Should I
I think
just go
Otto
bandit?
will repay the look. Idroniel, is that her name?
Yes,
Sure.
her name's Adroniel.
When
Or
I
Idroniel.
kind of approached Elf and yeah, like I show her that I really respect, especially her sacrifice and her missing the hand, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So in this case, the help is more of like a support for her rather than like helping her point. It's more of just like, wow, like you can kind of feel that sort of brotherly, connection, that sort of bonding, that sort of bonds of fellowship, you might call. Okay, sweet, awesome. All right,
That's
so
cool.
Otar, spend a hope.
Yep.
Adrenial, you get a bonus die from help.
Sounds great.
And I think we're going to see a cascade of dice across the screen here. Is what I imagine. Oh, okay. So not only do you succeed, but you get a great success. So technically, you overfilled the thing. So fantastic job. The Council of the Morgolden Vale is complete, and at those words, the elf leader Kaldwin comes forward and he says, "I listen well to your wisdom, Adrenial of Linden, and I see now the valor in your company and the wisdom of Mithrandir in choosing you for this mission. The Dingwanur will bother you no longer. In fact, we give you leave to use our camp to rest and prepare as you will before you attempt your brave quest. We trust and believe in you that you will honor your word and restore to us the relics of our people while dealing with the threat that you must face alone in this battle against the growing shadow." With that, he respectfully bows to you and offers you his camp and basically says, eat well amongst our people. We will take care of you tonight. So
thank you,
awesome.
King and Melon, or Captain and Melon.
Thank you. Oh, Mela, yes. and he goes to shake your hand, and he's like, "Oh, shit, the other way." Oh,
Haven't seen that one before.
Hi, Jinx.
Gotcha.
Hi, Jinx.
Okay, cool. So,
I was
right.
kind of curious where you have that hand of yours, because you said during session 0 that you were carrying your severed hand around.
Oh, not really. No, not really.
Needs a little salt, wise. It's just it's packed up. Okay, so the council is complete. And real quick, just because it's near the end of the session, you guys do have this brief opportunity for the camp. So real quickly, you guys can just quickly go around. If you guys do want to spend, because remember, you get that rebump of fellowship, and this is kind of your first opportunity to rest. So you guys get this opportunity to rest at the camp. So this could be an opportunity for you guys to each spend a point of fellowship out of the group if you guys each want to restore a hope point. Or 2, depending on what you want to do. So real quick, because it is, again, I remember we end at 1, but if we go 30 minutes afterwards, so we're going to end after this, but I do want to give you an opportunity to spend some fellowship before we wrap the session. So if you guys want to real quickly just make a comment, you can do it in character or out of character about how you think of it more of as a montage at the camp, what you do and how that might restore hope to another one of your fellow members through your fellowship with each other, because it looks like Grom has been hitting the sauce a little hard, and so has Otar, because they're both down.
So I think I would go to Otar and like bring up the song and lament that they didn't like it more, because I thought we nailed it. But...
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend this point of fellowship and restore. Otar, you can restore a point of hope.
Isengar's going to go up to Alfred at some point in this council. Isengar brings up, Gandalf sent us, so this is fine. And then Alfred goes, Gandalf sent us, so this is fine. And then Draniel goes, Gandalf sent us, so this is fine. And Isengar's like, that's what I fucking said all along. You're going to do that anyway. Why don't you just start doing that? Bloody elves, they're always...
Misdeeds, that's why. All right. Spend a fellowship. I spend a fellowship point, and so Alfred regain a point of hope. Okay, so Otar, is there anybody you want to have?
I think I will repay the favor.
You and Grom get drunk. I gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Find the finest elven spirits that they have here.
You know what? They're elves.
You're
They
welcome
come-
to stay in our camp. We immediately take all their best food and drink.
Yeah, correct. So Grom and Otar definitely have a moment where they kind of like, they're working on their song. And they're like, we got to add a little bit, and how we completely overwhelmed those elves with our incredible voices. It was amazing. Jackal, what is Alfred doing?
I think I would go to Grom as well and just commend them on the song, and also probably in Alfred's kind of meandering, rambly type of way, kind of also like impress upon the elves around us like this how excellent of a dwarf, upstanding dwarf this is, that they have.
Oh, you're making me blush.
That they are get to have the pleasure of
All right.
having
I'm
your
gonna-
company.
I'm going to subtract 2 points of fellowship, and I'm going to let you heal 2, Grom, because you know
Oh
what?
shit!
You know what? Like, no, like somebody's trying to help you out with the elves. Like that's a real bro. Like that's
Yeah.
They're not just trying to help you or cheer you up. They're trying
But
to.
then after that, do you start asking me about Smog again?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, and then last but not least, Adrenial. So you've really kind of impressed your group here. So Soulpack, there's 3 fellowship points remaining. So I'm going to let you spend 2 of them however you want. So you can go to 2 different people, or you can give one person 2.
Is there a reason to not spend these right now? Just because we're not going to generate them?
Potentially.
They're gonna regenerate at the end. You're gonna definitely get back 3, and then you as a group and the chat and me will decide if you get back the other 5.
And you better vote for us.
But I'm just saying,
No,
man down.
you scared goblins and androids away.
But
I think
There we
Adrenial will be like up on a cliff face overlooking the valley that we've just discovered, and I imagine Isengard like walking up to her.
Yeah.
And without like, she looks at him momentarily and then looks back out over the horizon. And since we're both like kind of like observant people, kind of like beast are banging it, and she'll say something along the lines of, "We've gotten through the first challenge as a company, but I can tell now, and I feel it more than ever, that there are great challenges ahead of us." And after a short silence, she'll make like a soft jest and be like, "We might even have a great opportunity for a hobbit to become a hero." And she'll like smile without taking her eyes off the horizon.
Awesome. So you're gonna spend 2 on Isengard?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so Isengard regained 2 hope, and that puts you guys at 1 of 8 fellowship. So again, with the potential to get a refill, even if chat doesn't fully agree that you guys deserve it, you guys will be back at full. And that is where we are going to end the session. So, as sort of a status, you guys are at 1 of 8 fellowship. Oh, nice. Thank you. It's always nice to have a co-GM who's dropping reports. So currently, nobody has any shadow, which is fantastic. And your hope scores have been mostly restored, not fully, but mostly. Isengard in particular is nice and full up, although being a hobbit, he does have a lot.
Hey, I only meant to give him 1, but it meant so much
you guys,
to him. He got 2.
You guys have a couple of, for the most part, you weathered that journey incredibly well. You really didn't acquire any wounds or shadow points, or and a handful of points of fatigue at most, and so that's really, really good. Yeah, so we've got 2 points of fatigue on Adrenial, 1 on Isengard, and that's it. However, the challenges are forthcoming, and of course, your eye awareness is also still at its base level of 2, as you guys did not roll any Eyes of Sauron when it wasn't with advantage, which is to your advantage, and then of course, no overt magical displays, no one gained any shadow. You guys did about as good as you can, and you made it through a handful of scenes, including 2 conflict scenes, a journey conflict and a council conflict. So you guys get, at the end of every session, you guys get adventure points and you get skill points. Now, you cannot spend these until you're back in fellowship phase. So you'll accumulate them during the fellowship, during the adventuring phase, and then when you get to the fellowship, you can finally spend them. So you guys get 3 adventure points, and you guys get 3 skill points.
Alfred's load is so fucking high. His endurance.
What is his load?
He's got 22 endurance, 17 load.
Okay, yeah. So he'll be weary as soon as he takes a little bit of damage. He'll be weary. So again, all in all, I mean, you are in a really nice spot. But again, remember, like this was, what did you do? You encountered a group of slightly distrusting elves, some rain, and virtually this is like down the road, right? From Bree. So you can easily see how, going on a long epic journey, having battles with orcs and, it can really start to wear down on you. So while this game isn't like grimdark and brutal in like that, you're just going to die and it's going to be, whatever, you have no choice. You are by no means like a superhero character. So. All right, so we're going to wrap up. Let these guys get on with the rest of their Sunday. Thank you, everybody, for watching at home. I'm going to end the stream here, but you guys can stay on for a minute. We'll just wrap up. We are going to be playing next Sunday for Session 2. I imagine, hopefully, we'll finish this adventure, which would be really cool, because then we're going to be taking a couple weeks off because I have to plan last minute planning and then actually go to NightCon at Origins Game Fair. So so hopefully we'll finish this up, and then when we're coming back, it's going to be a lot more sessions throughout the course of the summer. With any hope, you guys should get to see anywhere from between 5 to 6, 7 adventures and phases, which means that maybe 2.5 years might pass in game, which is a really cool part of this system. So thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll catch you next time on Knights of Last Call.
Peace.
All right.